All right, welcome in, welcome in. We are live. The holiday season. Ayo, I guess we're in the holiday season. The holiday itself quickly approaching. The holiday. Is that a Christmas movie that we didn't throw on the watch list this year? I'm not exactly sure, but I guess on the Christmas watch list early on. I guess on Christmas Day as well too. But in the background right now, I mean, maybe not what you're thinking, but Spurs Thunder. Hey, yo, we always have to bring it back to Wemby. It is what it is. Their NBA is setting us up for failure on Christmas Day. I don't know what's happening here. The Spurs, of course, gave the Thunder their second loss of the season in the NBA Cup playoffs. Ayo, for those that were not tuned into the NBA Cup playoffs. But they are matched up here tonight as well, too. So, again, one of the, I guess we're calling it iconic already, one of the anticipated Christmas Day matchups is going to be that Wemby Thunder rematch, but it's not a Wemby Thunder rematch of the NBA Cup game. It's a Wemby Thunder rematch of tonight's game. It's going to be a rematch of a game from Tuesday night. So, I don't know if that increases the stakes, decreases what that does there. But in terms of the competitiveness that the Thunder could be playing with going into that game, we're getting a little worried, I guess. We're excited that the game is close right now. And of course, like we're saying, we were able to get that win in the NBA Cup playoffs against the Thunder earlier, only their second loss of the season. But fortunately, I guess for the competitiveness of this second game as well too, it's at home for San Antonio. So if this was in OKC, that'd be a tough task, of course. But we get a home rematch, and we get the cool Fiesta jerseys in the mix. And in the first quarter, it's kind of close again. So, Keldon Johnson. If he had made that one, that would have just been like, the guys are there to play against the Thunder. It is what it is. A little spinning backboard, maybe 13-footer is, I don't know if that's necessarily Keldon. Has he practiced that shot? When did he practice that shot? But it was almost good to go. So we'll give him maybe a little bit of a pass there. And open for three again. It's the Keldon Johnson first quarter. 0 for 2, Chad. At least 0 for the last two. Not great, but the energy is there. The hustle, the rotation on Hartenstein. See, he rotated over on Hartenstein. Hartenstein passed to the corner, and then Harper stole it. So his hustle is there. Harper coast to coast. Oh, Chad, we've left 3 baskets on the table. Oh, my goodness. I mean, you got to give him credit for the athleticism, be able to go, the defensively as well, too. Be able to just go possession to possession with them. Hartenstein, the little floater over Wemby is a good look. And yeah, Mitch Johnson timeout. Is that the Thunder with the lead now? Is that 17-16? 18-16? It might have been tied there for a second. Yeah, 17-16. So tough. Hopefully that's not the beginning of the end. Ayo, because no Shea on the court at that point as well too. So, ayo, once Shea gets back on the court minutes, we'll have to see. But if we go to, that was the whole excitement of that first game was, oh man, are they here? But it is different when you have to go competitively over, and a series is a whole different level as well too. As much as, you can get a good sample size in a regular season. If you play a couple times, the dynamics of playing, just the frequency that you would play as well too of a playoff series increases, scheming and travel and stuff like that. So, playoff, I mean, you don't need the REMINGTOM pod to tell you that the playoffs are a different scenario. But even now, again, these are defending champions. So there is that level of, this is specifically what this OKC team is of course one of the highest bars we've seen. Now we're doing the LeBron thing. This is the move, honestly. This is the move. We have to do like the LeBron narrative thing for Wemby with what LeBron does for his titles. He has LeBron's won the most difficult titles in NBA history, the bubble title. I mean, how many superstars could have won the bubble title, chat? I guess we'll never know. Well, we don't want to speak too soon. But, as of right now, LeBron, I guess, is 1 for 1. And then the 3-1, I mean, everybody, of course, is like, we'll give him the 3-1. We'll give him the 3-1. But, I mean, the bubble, I mean, he's got 4 as well. Like, it's not like he needs to make the argument for just those 2 and needs to turn those 2, like, triple the value of those 2 titles. Like, he has 2 other titles that and they are legit. I think almost now in the NBA as well too is kind of legitimized those titles and the fact that, it's a super team league. But, you even go back and look at NBA history, and it's not like the teams that didn't win the titles back then weren't super teams. It's just, they were different. At one point the super, we all know like Boston, of course, back in the day with Bill Russell. I mean, obviously that team was stacked, and that was a little Thunder-ish as well too, because it was front office. But I mean, I guess Presti's taken advantage of some moves. We'd have to go back and put our pause. Like, I guess, obviously we start getting in the time machine, but if we were able to see more clearly what the people were thinking, I guess when they were making some of the trades, was it clearly just the chaos of the newness of new, we don't really even know what we're doing at this point, versus, we still see crazy stuff now. And now that we're, again, in the day-to-day, seeing the narratives, seeing the performances and the ebbs and flows of even just the emotion and of relationships in the NBA as well too, and how these guys are attached to their teams and when they're getting traded versus, all that stuff can get lost sometimes. Just, of course, I mean, we know this, just, looking at stats and looking at all the different stuff. But, for those two titles that, LeBron won as well, too, for the Heat, I wouldn't say that he has to, try to extra legitimize the other two, because those are great as well, too. But, and, I guess that he should make the case that the other one's the third most difficult title in NBA history, because he had to take down San Antonio. So, I mean, if you're winning in the bubble and you're having to make a 3-1 deficit and you win against Tim Duncan, who, I mean, and, I don't want to get dramatic, but this isn't even a hot take. Like, does LeBron, well, I don't want to say LeBron stands in the way of, Tim Duncan being better than MJ. But, and, if of course the Spurs win the finals that one year, there is that question if they're able to get back, the motivation. We all get that as well too. But, Tim Duncan could have been 6 for 6 in the finals. If Tim Duncan is 6 for 6 in the finals, like, what do you do at that point? That would be crazy. And even 5-0 would still be insane. The fact that he is 5-1 is it just kind of gets I guess would it really matter? Would people still kind of remember Tim Duncan the same way because of just the way that his game was? Or would something, specific like that to help stand out in the stats, would that help separate it? Because, he does have as many titles as Magic, but Magic has so many, and, it's great that Tim Duncan had the efficiency that he did in the finals as well too, but Magic, of course, had all the other appearances over the course, the percentage of the time that he was making his finals, he was a little Brady-ish in that way, where it's like, man, it was like 9 and 12 years, right? Like, that is actually insane. And I know Magic's not super far behind MJ on the all-time list, but that is right up there with, again, 6 in a 3 in a row. I guess you don't even have to say 6 in a row. Like, we don't even see teams win 3 in a row anymore. So to win 3 in a row twice itself is, obviously pretty crazy. But, hey, for a guy to go just be in the finals basically every year, and who knows how it drops off as well, too, if he, does have a career that tails off a little bit differently than, maybe ending as abruptly as it did. And I guess, how many years in the finals was Bird in out of his 13 seasons? It is, who knows? But I guess we could look it up. We do know there is stats. It is registered, I think. But does LeBron stand in the way of Tim Duncan, being MJ? I'm not sure. But either way, the three most, we'll give him credit, I guess, the 3 most difficult titles in NBA history. So, the point is we have to start making the case with Wemby if they're starting to compete against this Thunder team. It's the greatest team in regular season history. Wembanyama, this team, and I guess if we start saying this now, they're going to start raining threes. Chet from the perimeter, it is what it is. But, and we don't want to settle for, not winning. At the end of the day, you got to win. It is what it is. So we win now. I guess, we're just not going to guarantee that we win later. So we might as well win when we can. But just to, of course, be competitive at any point with the defending champions, I mean, that's the bar as well, too. Hopefully, I guess, we were saying teams, I guess, defending, like the Eagles in the NFL would be the defending champs this year. So that would still be a good bar. If you're better than the Eagles, I guess, some people, even Eagles fans might be like, oh, well, that's not very good. But I don't know, if you're better than a team with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts and Saquon and Jalen, like, you're probably a pretty good team. Week to week, you're probably doing okay. So, maybe if you're better than Kansas City, that might not be the bar. And speaking of, I guess, I don't know if we have to recap the Monday night game at all. But, I mean, and giving up 50 to San Francisco is not that great as well too. But I mean, you got to give it up to Phillip Rivers. Like, Phillip Rivers looks okay. It is what it is. And to be honest, we are 0 for 2 with our expectations for Phillip Rivers on the team. I know that the team that they had the first time lost in the first round of the playoffs, so you could say, what is that ultimately for a season? But it was still 11-5, really competitive, and like we said before, that was a great Josh Allen game, just taking over. And it's like, okay, you look back and a Superman performance in a wild card game, you lose to that, you kind of just it's a classic, just hey, great game, Josh Allen situation. And we didn't necessarily, he's the best player on the field anyways. It's not like, not to throw another name out there, but it's not like you're going up against a quote-unquote lesser quarterback and he has a crazy game. Like, we know, it's Josh Allen. Like, it was one of the original Josh Allen playoff games. So, shout out Phillip Rivers as, his last before this, his last NFL season, he lost to Josh Allen. No shame in that. But the fact that he is able to step back into the league and still, like, be okay. And I know that he's, like, a little bit slow moving around now, but, we have to consider, I know that, the guys are scrambling around so much these days that they're like not necessarily in the pocket too much. And yes, I guess when they're in the pocket now these days, the pressure is just too much. These guys can't handle blitz or whatever. But, and I know there are guys that, like, does Stroud have great numbers in his career against the blitz? I don't know. I think some of those numbers maybe tailed off a little bit. Maybe it's some, I'm sure there's weeks we could put together to make our case. But the point, like, with the rules now, with the way the quarterbacks are so protected by the rules, and we've seen the schematics because of some of the, and, we tread lightly with how we try to talk, because, we don't even necessarily know football even, it's well enough to even talk about it. So what can we even talk about? Hey, yo, I guess that's the perfect sign for us to be commenting. Hey, yo, chat. We don't even know enough to comment. So we'll just go ahead and comment. But there is people, posting even just on meme pages about the communication that Phillip Rivers was having at the line of scrimmage. And again, you don't even necessarily have to know football to see that happening and know that that's different a little bit from some of the guys that we have in the league. And, there's going to be guys like, oh, is Phillip Rivers just a little more demonstrative? Or there's guys doing it, a little bit more subtly. Plus now, of course, you have, and we have to go back and double check like the timeline of headsets in the helmet. But I think that's, walkie-talkies. I think they've had that tech for a while. I'm not sure. Was there a moment when they were like pressing on the side of the ear like a Secret Service agent, but it's like the helmet and they're just like getting the play calls? I'm not sure. That might be, is that advanced technology? I don't know. This is 007's always ahead of the curve. It is what it is. Hey, yo. But, in terms of the quarterback actually getting, that's one of the reasons that we've actually, kind of been pro Prescott over the years. It's because, like, okay, and sometimes these checks, I guess he's just, is he always checking into the right thing? Maybe that's the problem. But at least he's trying something. And, a lot of the guys don't worry about, and we've said this with, comparing like Mahomes to Manning in an all-time standpoint. And, if Mahomes, and this was, not even just Mahomes versus Manning, but Mahomes versus Brady at some point, if Mahomes had this generational run of winning where it's like, okay, at the end of the day, what do we value with Brady? Winning. Well, Mahomes had the winningest, the winningest stretch in NFL history. Like, you've got to give him credit in the GOAT conversation for that. But if you're comparing stylistically how he's playing to a guy like Peyton, or, I guess we'd have to go back and watch more Montana tape. And Montana was crafty, outside the pocket. Of course, the iconic catch play is him rolling out. But, and again, Manning couldn't like, that's the thing. Manning, yes, he couldn't extend the play for, the extra however many seconds that you need him to be running around for to create, like Mahomes can do, and, all these guys that we're now seeing in the NFL. But Manning could win pre-snap in a way that the guys in the NFL can't these days. It is what it is. And you see that with a guy like Rivers, who, and if we're doing, I guess, the generational quarterback rankings in that way, I mean, it's probably Manning and Brady as best pre-snap quarterbacks. I mean, you start getting into the IQ stuff and the pre-snap reads and all that. I mean, I'm sure there's guys that are, the IQ stuff is there, and then, you got to combine that at some point, with the physical ability to execute in the way. And Manning had, the arm talent and stuff. Manning, I mean, hey, yo, that, they don't even make quarterbacks like that. I guess we tread lightly while we say that, but the 6'6", I think is Manning maybe 6'5" officially. I'm not sure, but even now it's you get like 6'3", you're not necessarily scared of like I would say even 6'2". If a quarterback is 6'2" these days, you're not necessarily scared of that. And I'm sure we go back and look at NFL history. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of great 6'2" quarterbacks. Like, it's all random. I'm just saying, what do you, and again, obviously it changed over time for better, but the fact that like how, and again, we tried lightly, but the build a quarterback from back in the day, like there was just kind of a big stature that the quarterbacks had. And, again, even now, it's just a little, is it like the NBA? I don't know. Is everybody just the same height? I'm not sure. The offensive linemen are still tall anyways, but I don't know. Maybe we could do stats. I can't imagine that in 2025, again, the NFL is shorter and even quarterbacks are shorter, but I don't know. Maybe first round quarterbacks, we'd have to go back and look to some degree, but I guess even like Rivers, like Rivers is a little bit, he's like a tall guy as well too. So I don't know, but again, again, we tread. It is what it is. We're not trying to just like put everybody into generics, generic versions of the Venn diagram over here. But there is still, if you go back and look, again, the way the quarterback game is played is different. And again, it's not worse. Is Lamar, is even Josh Allen, are these guys worse quarterbacks than these guys? No, they're different quarterbacks, but the fact that Rivers can rely on these different, he's not relying on his athleticism in the game, I think is a little bit more favored for that, even though the quarterbacks are, this is what the desired quarterback traits are, is these these guys that can extend the plays out of the pocket and do all that stuff. And we haven't even had really, there isn't necessarily in the NFL at this point like a I would say like a super processing quarterback. Again, I guess I just want to just like criticize everybody in the league, but I wouldn't say there's somebody that wins like majorly based off of processing. Honestly, the only guy I can think of, like if it was going to be the first thing that, again, that I would think of in that conversation, would be Shanahan. So that would not be to discredit any of the quarterbacks that he's had. But I think that we know at this point that system is very favorable, of course, to that production and his ability to, scheme up some looks. And I think Purdy as well, too, his ability to make reads. I mean, even Garoppolo back in the day, his ability to just, I guess, I don't even know if Garoppolo would make reads or they would always just say like, Garoppolo would make a read quickly. But I think it's just Garoppolo would just commit to whatever. He's like, okay, I'm going to throw that. Screw it. I'll throw it. It is what it is. The coach told me to throw it. And, the genius of Shanahan is more often than not, if you throw it like he says it, you should, it gets complete because he's good at getting the defense off balance and using the run game to get everything mixed up. And then, even his scheming up his route trees. I'm sure, he's some of the best in the league at that as well, too. But again, not to, to discredit Purdy, but you just wouldn't necessarily put Purdy on the same level as some of these guys in that same way. And, is Purdy necessarily, even this year as well too, like Purdy again has been really good this year. Is Purdy necessarily worse in the league right now than Phillip Rivers was in the league back then? That's a pretty close debate. But you just see like this is the old man game is still there for Rivers. I mean, if Rodgers had taken 5 years off and then returned and played like he had this season, it would actually like be an okay season. I don't know what the narratives would be like that, and I don't know what the Brett Favre. Brett Favre didn't take 5 years off, so I guess I don't know if that's in the the timeline for him there or not. I guess he's in an alternate universe now that he's on the Steelers. I don't know. We'd have to go back and look. Was that one of the Favre landing spots before he went to the Vikings? I guess probably not, because were they gonna replace Ben Roethlisberger back in the day with old? I almost called him Ben Favre. Hey, with old Brett Favre. Well, I guess, shout out to Brett Favre. It is what it is. But do we shout out Brett Favre these days? I'm not sure. But shout out to the football career of the quarterback Brett Favre. But we've seen people, of course, joking about guys like Brady and stuff playing in the league. And there is, of course, again, that expectation, is Brady going to walk into the league right now and be a Super Bowl winning quarterback again? You know, at some point, I guess we have to be realistic about it. But again, we were looking at Phillip Rivers going, this guy can't play football anymore at 45, and he's like pretty good. So I don't know if Phillip Rivers is shaking up the quarterback rankings. I think it'd be interesting, the 20s maybe, where he kind of falls in there. But, again, some of the, like, with the Broncos trade out Bo Nix for Phillip Rivers, they might do like a down by down situation. Maybe Phillip Rivers on like first down gets him going in the right direction, pause, and then, all of a sudden Bo Nix can sub in and then run kind of the rest of the plays. And, if they need second down and short, he's scrambling around picking up first downs and stuff like that. But, I guess Trevor Lawrence this year, of course, on the Jags has been really good. Would the Saints bring in Phillip Rivers next year instead of drafting a quarterback, or, even running it back with Shuck and seeing what they have there? I don't know if, again, it's going to be 20, 25 teams calling Phillip Rivers or calling 45-year-old quarterbacks being like, hey, can we get, a second life or a last couple of games? But I just think the feasibility of it is there. If Brady wanted to play games, he could definitely, like, could Brady be a 500 quarterback in 2026? He might be able to. He might be able to be 500. Would he be, I guess, is Rodgers going to be, well, he has to be 500 this year because he's on the Steelers. So if Brady was on the Steelers, then he would be 500. And is Rivers, again, he's 0-2, and I guess has the offense, what do we get to, like 29, 24? I don't, at some point you just, it's like, okay, I guess the Niners are at 50, so it doesn't even matter. But the offense still has, it's been fine, but it is been more surprising that he has been able to still be like a decent NFL quarterback. Shout out, again, hey, not to be disrespectful to the football talent of Phillip Rivers, but you just kind of watch the quick processing and the fact that the way that some of these guys are going in for the tackles, like he is still, again, for where he's at right now, it's not all, maybe it's still even, like, I don't know if there's like a multiplier for the force impact for the tackles, but it's just not going to be the same type of guys just taking you out in the pocket. Like, there's still going to be contact. You're still going to be on the ground. You're still going to be, you're still going to be sore the next morning. It is what it is. Like, you're still, we're not denying that you're not playing football. But is it the, and we're not, I guess, doing the NBA conversation here of like, is it the 90s, the fouls? But for the quarterbacks, for that position specifically, it is a lot safer, and they're going to be a lot stricter with calling those penalties. And I do think that, I don't know, Phillip Rivers, has he been working on his falling as well too? Like, he does kind of just fall straight back, but it does seem like, if you're gonna fall, like, I think you kind of want to try to land on your tailbone, and it does seem like he's always kind of managing to kind of like, again, like, okay, that's not a bad fall. Like, I was gonna say, Embiid kind of did become good at falling, I guess, in a way, but some guys, again, they just take a tumble, and you're like, oh man, like, that just looked terrible. That's gonna be rough. There's no way that's not an injury. Maybe even sometimes, like, a guy like diving out of bounds on the sideline for a catch. I don't know, but especially in the NBA, like guys flying around going to the basket. I mean, some of the high flying guards as well too. But and I guess Westbrook, of course, was maybe built a little sturdier than some of the other high flying guards. But there was just a control that Westbrook is at. Like, Westbrook is a crazy athlete because he never seems out of control. Back in the days, like, he was never actually out of control. Like, he should have been, but he would just be flying around. You're like, okay, is he out of control? Like, what's happening? And then all of a sudden he's like going in for a dunk, and it's crazy. And, he's going to the basket, swooping in for a layup versus, again, not to say that I guess we tread lightly when we say John Morant has no control. But, in terms of going to the basket, like, again, there is just a flaily thing that goes on. And, and then all of a sudden you're like, how many times was Westbrook flying? I guess just, again, how insane of an athlete he is. And to the degree at which he's flying around, you're like, maybe, but it still is within the confines of Westbrook, where like peak John Morant, you're like, he's actually like playing out of his, and again, but he's like actually just like playing out of his body with how athletic he is at this point. I'm trying to think, like, Zion, peak Zion. I'm trying to remember. Hey, shout out Zion these days. But, peak athletic Zion back at Duke. Like, he was, of course, I mean, that's another thing. And you would see him in, like, dunk contest. But I think in high school, he did win a dunk contest, right? I mean, if he was in a dunk contest, he won. So, I'm just assuming, was he in a dunk contest? And then I'm guessing he won it. So, in high school, he won that dunk contest, right? But either way, you would see him do like these windmills and these crazy 360 spinning Vince Carter type dunks, and it's like, okay, again, the insane control is definitely there. But yeah, for we're talking about Westbrook, Chad. I don't remember what athlete we're talking about now at this point. We're like mentioning like 50 guys right now. It is what it is. But guys, a lot of guys are athletic. Some guys are more under control than others. It is what it is. And the Spurs and Thunder are tied still as well, too. So, again, it's 6 minutes left in the second. I guess the Thunder, you literally, and this is now just us continuing to continuously compare them to the Warriors from back in the day. But, I guess from back in the day, from the previous Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green runs, the ability for them to just completely take the game, just completely put the game away at any point in the game, not necessarily even at the end of the game, but it'd just be like random second, third quarters. They'd have these runs and you'd look up and be like, what's happened to the score? The Thunder do have those, and even in a different type of way where, and not to say that, I guess, is there a look away? I don't know if there's a look away factor with the Thunder that the Warriors didn't possess. Is that the Steph Curry captivation of the game? And I don't know, maybe the Warriors, it wouldn't be a slower burn. I mean, they would definitely have these, again, just these insane stretches. But they would have the 3-point runs where they would hit like 2 or 3 in a row, and all of a sudden it's like 12-point lead. And you're like, oh man, we got to call a timeout. Like, this is getting out of hand. Like, the Thunder will, like, again, you'll just like look away. You'll be like, let me send a couple of Snapchats. And then all of a sudden you look up and the Thunder are up by 25. You're like, how is this mathematically possible? Like, I guess that's the part maybe that I'm trying to say, is for the Warriors, it did actually seem mathematically possible, like their runs. Like, for the Thunder, you kind of look at you're like, wait, how did they just score 25 points unanswered? Like, what just happened? I don't understand. Like, the offense, defense, they're just getting turnovers, switching ends, pause. Like, Shea's just hitting every shot from 2. You're like, the math's not mathing, but the efficiency and the athleticism is crazy here versus, again, the Warriors. You just be like, we can't keep pace with them because of the way that, again, the math actually did math for them. You're like, oh man, they're just going to hit threes every time. At some point, we literally can't keep up with this. We can't hit this many 3-point shots. We're not this talented of a basketball team. It is what it is. But for this Thunder team, again, it is just like these insane, I'm afraid we haven't even turned on Home Alone yet, Chad. It is what it is. We can't wait. I mean, the Thunder are they the Home Alone type team? I don't know if that's a good correlation or not. Is Shane Macaulay Culkin? Is he the Macaulay? I don't know. Macaulay Culkin might have more star power than, we tread lightly. But, I guess just in general, the conversation of course, Shea being the face of the league, hey, yo. It is. And I think he's definitely getting there. I think it's just been people, I guess, not necessarily knowing about it. It's maybe been a little bit of the Thunder, they have to be not, them being put more in national games. Shea, he'll, the commercials and stuff, like, he's out there. So he's not necessarily out there, like, I guess, in major commercials, but, he has his shoe deal, so you'll see him there, and, you'll see him around. I guess, is he, how many Drake concerts has he been to? He's in the Nokia music video. So I guess if we keep watching that a bunch, then does that mean Shea's in a bunch of commercials? I think we just keep watching that video, honestly. It is what it is. But, and I don't even know if Shea, I mean, I guess Shea's not really doing anything in that video. He's just, standing there with the shoes. It is just him being like, okay, we're dropping if I'm going to be an athlete that's standing by your side in this music video, I've got to put my shoes in the video. It is what it is. Oh, Harrison Barnes, Chad, when you need him to make a 3. Hey, yo. But still a 2-point lead. No Shea with 4 minutes left on the court. So, I don't know. We'll see when the camera goes back if he's on the sideline. Ready to go. Oh, no, I guess the Thunder bench is right there. So, no, he is he in foul trouble? Do we have to go check that out? Oh, Lou Dort for 3. Hey, yo. The kind of, I don't want to say underrated guy of the season, but, he was right up there with the most important people they had for their title run. And I don't know if his 3-point shooting has definitely been the same, but again, he was, like the entire team, operating on a crazy level. So even a little backwards pause wouldn't be too surprising. Yeah, and he's actually 30% this year from three, 31 almost, 30.9. But yeah, 41.2% last year from three, 71 games in the regular season. And he was 34% in the playoffs. So I don't know here if we go like playoff series to playoff series, but his defense as well too is going to be important in all of them. And in the Western Conference Finals, in the Western Conference Finals and in the finals, he was Western Conference Finals 38.7%, NBA Finals 42%. So he was definitely, again, cooking in the later part of the series when it mattered. Yeah, he got better every series, 30, 34, 38, and 42. So, Memphis 4-0, 8 for 26, I guess maybe not as locked in as he needed to be. It is what it is. But yeah, was definitely getting there by the time they got to the finals. So he's, I guess, at that exact kind of mentality right now in the regular season. That first round of the playoffs, they're kind of cruising. Memphis, everybody kind of expected them to, everybody kind of expected OKC to get past that series. Of course, again, they easily 4 games. It is what it is. But they now are kind of cruising through the league, and he's still sitting at that same 3-point percentage numbers. So if we see them once the playoffs start, or once we get, I guess if the NBA, do we have to go back and check his NBA Cup stats and see if in the NBA Cup games he was shooting better at 3-point percentage? Because I think Shea's stats were better in the NBA Cup game. We were seeing a post about some MVP rankings, and it had Shea 1, Brunson 2, which is like, okay, I guess people think they're going to win the East right now. So a lot of people is, that's Brunson led. Shout out, we're pro Brunson. We're not necessarily going to sit here and say he's not the number 2 MVP. I guess maybe could you consider, Jokic potentially as the number 2 MVP? I'm sure he has a case, but if you want to give it to Brunson too, that's fine. And then they had Castle at 3. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. Is this like a monthly MVP? Like, what's going on here? Even still, I guess, is this guy just going for the hot takes? Like, is it just because Castle's played more games than Wemby? And it's like the Spurs, they just got past the Thunder. Like, they turned it around. But it was like, oh, yeah, it's for the NBA Cup. It's the NBA Cup MVP. So it was Shea 1, Brunson 2, and I guess Castle could have been the NBA Cup MVP. Maybe a little bit on the outside right now for the actual NBA MVP. But if we keep moving up the regular season, I guess we're number 2 in the East, or number 2 in the West. Whoa, we're in the East now. That'd be even better, Chad. Imagine if we were in the East all of a sudden. Wow, that would be great. Can the NBA just realign mid-season? And somehow the Thunder would still be in the East. It's like, well, I guess are they more East than San Antonio? So it might, the Thunder might just end up in the East. But I guess if the Thunder end up in the East, then are we good in the West? We still have Jokic, like we're saying, to deal with. Doncic is still hanging out there. Anthony Edwards just took down the OKC Thunder by himself, so you can't underrate him in a playoff series. But yeah, we can't get too excited. We can't get too excited. It is what it is. Again, it's all expectations. It's we're gonna be a Zendaya sports fan in 2026. Expect nothing, and then we won't be disappointed. But we can't do that, Chad. We can't do that because you need the expectations in sports. Again, it sets yourself up for disappointment, and then maybe you end up with certain franchises where you're just like, okay, are the expectations the same here? Like we're not, we're not necessarily in alignment with what we're trying to accomplish from a team standpoint. But you do need I think you need the drive, of course, to wanting to be a competitive team, wanting to win these championships. But hey, we can't necessarily sit here and say we're the second best. I guess you gotta say Denver is the second best team in the West at this point. And I guess we have the same exact record looking at basketballreference.com. And they are playing tonight as well, too. So, wait, they're playing Dallas. I don't know if I think they might be a little more likely to win their matchup. Hey, shout out, I guess, a little more lively to win their matchup. There might be a little more lively in their matchup. I guess the Mavs would be more lively in their matchup. Hey, we'll get in a writer's room and see what the best way to say that is. Also, shout out Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky is going to win the New Orleans Bowl. Western Kentucky versus Southern Miss in the New Orleans Bowl. Hey, shout out. And a little hockey. as well too. Got to get excited about that. Chaotic scene on the sideline at the Boca Raton Bowl. Whoa, Toledo Louisville brawl. I guess we don't have the background screen operational right now. I guess we probably should set it to something a little more convenient at this point. But do we have to watch this brawl? Did this cost them did this cost Toledo a bowl game? Hey yo, they're down by 5. I guess Louisville had the ball. Ran to the sideline. Oh, the running back got tackled out of bounds a little bit too long. He's got the players on the sideline over to defend him. And I guess these guys weren't messing around, Chad. These guys weren't messing around. You know, a lot of this stuff doesn't get out of control too much because, of course, it's a lot of hold me back. And then you have to, I guess, you know, if you're holding me back, then, you know, you're going to have time for people to step in and stop it. But if you can commit to a, you know, if you're going to commit and start actually fighting, then you could have maybe, you know, you could maybe 20, 25 seconds before people start pulling you off and then pause. And then, you know, maybe all of a sudden you get like Isaiah Stewart that one time, of course, you kind of push him away. And then all of a sudden he's like, well, you know, I mean, I still want to fight this guy. Like, let me just run back over and try to keep fighting him. So, you know, you can maybe draw it out to a minute if you really want to. But I guess didn't really seem like it was anything too crazy. It's not like somebody got picked up and like dragged through the Gatorade table. Like that would be the move. I'm not saying we need somebody to do that because that would be, again, you know, somebody's late tackle, late hit out of bounds. Like if there's a dirty play involved, you know, we don't want that to happen as well. But if it was like a, you know, Kevin Costner and the bodyguard picks up the bodyguard, like slides him across the table. Like if you just like were able to get him by the Gatorade table and do that, I don't know if that would work or not, because that would be I think that would be harmless enough, and also, you know, just it'd be cinema, it'd be cool cinema, because those tape, you know, he's in pads and stuff, you know, you throw a guy on the you know, hey, yo, pause, like, you know, I guess it depends, chat, maybe, you know, it is what it is, but you know, if you're in a fight, then I'm sure it's still gonna maybe knock the wind out of you a little bit, hey yo, but again, you at the end of the day, you're probably just knocking over a bunch of Gatorade bottles. So as long as you pick those up and you're not littering, you know, we gotta protect the earth these days. Shit, lock in. But you know, as long as we're I guess behaving ourselves over there, then, you know, we can fight and throw guys on a table. We just gotta pick up the trash afterwards. That's the only rules. But yeah, I think that would be good House of Highlights content for somebody to attempt. And again, be good for the NFL as well too, because you do have the stunt padding. I guess, you know, hey yo, we're not trying to just like, you know, get these guys hurt. But if that was in the NBA, it would be a little different. If you know, Lou Dort just picked Devin Vassell up and just like dragged him across the scores table, just like it was an action movie, like that might actually, you know, like, we might actually have to check Vassell out and make sure he's okay after that. Like, I guess, you know, we probably want to do the same for the NFL players afterwards as well too. I guess the NFL won't. Hey yo, the NFL teams are gonna have to, you know, make sure it's up to them. Wemby fouling Shea in transition, I guess, you know, earned, not given, shout out. But, you know, I don't know if we need to be collecting. You know, you got to try to block it, I guess. The thing was, I mean, and Shea, of course, you know, super crafty, was able to adjust his speed and get his, you know, get the body in the way, was able to shield the shot and get Wemby to draw the foul, because that was, you know, ended up being a pretty, you know, we'll say clumsy collision. Like, it kind of looked like Wemby wasn't really even that close to it, but that's just because, and, you know, Shea, was at the James Harden, but it is a little bit different. It is a little bit different. Not to sit here and say that it's like, hey, one's better or worse, because I think you can check the tapes. Like, we're pretty pro, you know, watching Harden's offense from back in the day, and you see some of the highlights resurfacing now too, where, you know, okay, he's having a pretty good season, but you go back and you just remember even the stats that he was putting up, and you're like, what was it, like 34 a game? Or you see the runs where it's like Stephen A on First Take is like, over the last week, James Harden's put up 45 points a game for the last, you know, maybe even, you know, longer than just a week as well too. I guess it'd only be like 3 or 4 games, but it's like, oh, the last month James Harden's at like 40 a game offensively, but then he's also assisting on top of that as well too. Like, I get, you know, again, we got how he dominated the possessions as well. The math was mathing for that, but his ability to just be able to just create space and get shots one-on-one was kind of unmatched. And, you know, Shea does operate like that as well too. Like he might be the other one where just one-on-one, who's that good? Again, for guys that we're watching as well too, I guess Wade, probably would have been a little bit, like where we locked in for Wade in the '06 finals, like probably would have been, just right before we're locking in for some basketball stuff. But, and not to say that, like right after that, Wade still like wins the scoring title and stuff in like what, like '08, '09. He's still really good in the 2011 season, but I think he's a little bit more kind of off the, by the time, especially when LeBron gets there as well too, kind of the off the ball scoring type stuff is definitely where, I mean, the Heatles run is the first thing that's going to stand out for us. It is what it is. But, for James Harden, anyways, for drawing the fouls, he had like he would extend the arms and then kind of hold, pause, like hold the basketball. I guess, just hold the basketball. I was going to say hold the ball. He would hold the basketball out through the defense and then somehow like get guys to hack down on the forearms all the time. And, he was, and I guess still is, his strength and stability. Because, we've seen a couple YouTube videos for James Harden's workouts, like his strength and stability. It's, we can confirm based on YouTube video research that seems like he's locked in. I know it doesn't, do you need a YouTube video just to double check James Harden's working out sometimes? I don't know. But, again, his ability to just be on balance and take the contact all the time. And, I guess, are we gonna get crazy and sit here and say like James Harden had padding for all these fouls? But I don't know. I'm not a professional, so maybe we can get away with it. I'm not sure. Like, is that our hot take of the day, Chad? Like, a skinny guy could not have drawn as many. He would have gotten hurt. He would have just been. It would have been impossible. I don't know, but James Harden's able to just take 6, 7, 8 fouls, like 2, 3 fouls a quarter. Right? And it's funny going back and looking at that stuff as well too, where it feels like every time it's like, how did he only go to the line twice a quarter? It's like it felt like 5 times a quarter this man's at the free throw line. Just every offensive possession he's at the free throw line. There might have been some games where it was like that, but with Shea, and I know they've maybe changed some of the rules as well too, but with Shea it is a little bit more of getting defenders on the hip and changing up his speed and mixing up the pace of his drives. More so, and I mean Harden as well too, but his would be more at the top, and I guess pause, like Shea's mixing up his pace at the top of the dribble as well too, but Harden would have that ISO at the top between the legs and get the defender, kind of rock him to sleep a little bit, see which way he wants to get the momentum going, and then just hit him with the quick crossover, and then that's when he's going in and pause, like holding the basketball out, and then that center's smacking down pause on it as well too. And he's always like a one or a two-handed a lot of the time. I guess you got Fox going with that one-arm drive right now, like he would definitely do that, but it seemed like 85% of the time he's like a two hands strong driver. So a little bit different, it seems like, just visually in kind of how they draw their fouls. But yeah, I guess, the in memoriam of the old James Harden days. I don't know if we can say the RIP, the old James Harden. Hey, yo. And this version as well, too, it's definitely going to be an underrated version. It's a classic Clippers player where you're going to look back, you're going to see decent stats. You're going to, night to night, he can be competitive against some teams. He can still have moments where you're like, oh, James Harden can carry an offense and it still can look okay. But, again, it's still not quite the same peak version of the players. And there's probably like a major defensive efficiency as well. I mean, for Harden, but, I mean, maybe even so now, just his, expectation for what could be possible from the defensive end is maybe a little bit different as well, too. Because he was always, he could have been a good defender back in the day. Like, he I guess not even say that. Like, he was a good defender when he was locked in on possessions back in the day. It would just be his ability to commit. And at the end of the day, I don't think that that's necessary. And that is, a credit to James Harden. I guess I didn't mean to do a James Harden retrospective, but that's just kind of the trail that we're on at this point. It is what it is. The James Harden, you don't necessarily think of the defense as a reason to why, why those playoff runs didn't work out. Again, it's not necessarily like he was, locking in on defense and then 40 points a game. I guess to some degree it was that in the playoffs. He would have much better defensive possessions time and, over the course of a game, but it was, some of the offensive stuff not keeping up in the same way. But again, you think about what that team had to be to be as competitive as it was against the Warriors. Yes, they were a dynamic offensive team, but you had to be a good defensive team to go against that team as well too, to be able to match him, or just, athletically give him problems, switch. Like, Harden was still competing when he needed to at times. I guess, we can go back and probably find the tape where he's not, but for them to be as close as they were, I imagine that, he was competing in more possessions defensively than he was in other series as well too. But yeah, shout out Shea, the new James Harden. If we would say that complimentary. We would, and I guess, Shea has his title now as well too. We're not trying to, I guess, we're not trying to drop a James Harden diss track here. It is what it is. But I guess, we're not trying to be, it is what it is with dropping a diss track. And shout out. But but at least for us, their ability to generate crazy offense would be, I guess from a one-on-one standpoint, something that would be similar. And really, of course, I wouldn't say Shea's efficiency would be the only thing that would stand in the way from him and James Harden. But again, it's those moments where, yes, the 3-point percentage was what it was in the final, in the conference finals. Like, there's just, there's nothing you can do about it at this point. I guess you could, there's the seasons afterwards to bounce back. There's obviously in the moment, we can go through all that stuff. But with the way it played out, like, you're not necessarily sitting here saying that James Harden's incapable offensively of generating that much offense. Like, that's where the conversation, I think, gets a little bit misconstrued. I don't know if that's necessarily the right word for it, but maybe that's where, at least for me, it sometimes doesn't feel like the points are, maybe being made clearly, where it's like, again, James Harden, we can't sit here and say that this guy is incapable of leading a team to a title. Like, you can't generate that much. Like, if you statistically generate that much offense, those guys are winning the title. It's just the math of when you generate that much offense. Unfortunately, it's just not in this quarter of the conference championship, and that's how, legacies are made. And I guess we're not trying to, take down the legacies of the ones that did accomplish those moments as well too. Again, like, that's what makes those careers special in their own right. But, you can't sit here and say that from, like, a talent standpoint, from basketball capability, can you win with James Harden as your main guy? Again, there is the, like we're saying, the individual moments that you can look at, and yes, I get the questions that result around those, but it's like, okay, what Shea does offensively is not too dissimilar. Like, does he dominate the same usage in the same type of way? Like, is there a couple percentage points less? I'm sure, but he could probably function in an offense that way if he wanted to. And I guess, the want to is obviously that would be a thing where you're like, well, James Harden had to have the ball all the time. And I guess, Merry Christmas for James Harden. We'll defend your legacy. It is what it is. We're pro James Harden today. Shout out. But yeah, it's him and West. Some of these guys, when they move into the extra phase and, they're getting clowned on for what they are now. And it's like, okay, I get, we're not against, I guess, make your jokes, shout out, jokes are fun. That's our hot take. Jokes are fun. But the fact of what these basketball, like, we'll define them by, of course, what they actually are as basketball players. Like, this is what James Harden actually is as a basketball player. Is this the version, whatever, we're getting right now, we get how time works, but, we're defining the legacy of the man. It's obviously a great basketball legacy. Same with Russell Westbrook. And for those guys as well, too, for them to, again, as the lead guys, the teams maybe not to have the playoff success as well, too. Like, personally, we might, as much as we're sitting here saying, hey, pro James Harden, like, it might be more fun to try to build a title team around Westbrook and just try to, like, get him a title. Hey, the man's so passionate about basketball. Like, he just has to win a title. It is what it is. But I think you're, and this is what the playoff series have showed, you're probably a little bit closer to that if you've got James Harden as your lead guy. I guess there are ways to go back and check, points responsible for, and some of that does depend on the team that you have around you as well too. But I mean, I would be curious to see between those two guys who is actually generating more points, because I think, or just more offense, better offense at the end of the day. I don't know the plus minus stuff, but I would not be surprised. Of course, it's only you got a 50-50 shot either way. But if James Harden was actually generating, I guess more points, again, the defensive thing would maybe, if, however you're going to calculate that into it, could over the course of regular season bring some of those numbers down as well too. But I don't know, maybe Westbrook has his seasons in there. It is what it is. So from James Harden drawing fouls differently from Shea, we might have to go. I guess we're just gonna need to go back and watch some James Harden highlights. I don't know, maybe it's just the Spurs, like this new life of San Antonio is like, I don't know, it's like the moving on of the basketball from in the past. I don't know if we still felt a little connected to, kind of that era of, and maybe, I don't know if there is just like there is obviously a shift in the NBA to a new phase of stars and just a new phase of competitiveness as well too, of who is at the top of the league in that sense. I mean, again, it's been a little bit different, but I mean, we can go back and check like we've seen before. I mean, LeBron's won recently, Steph's won recently, so it's not, again, these guys were still able to make their mark here, fairly within the recent future, within the recent past, I guess. Hey, recent future, I mean, shout out, we're not against it as well too. But the fact that era does feel, again, maybe more like it does feel like a different era now. Like that's what, it felt like, again, we were at the end of that era, and now we go back and like watch this, like, oh yeah, this is just a different time in the NBA. And there's some same guys that are, around, a lot of similar names, like we're saying, you can go back and James Harden is still a good player now and was, an elite player back then. LeBron is still an amazing player now and was an elite player back then. But it's like, it's just a different era. And, we got the Christmas Day games a couple of days from now, I guess, less than a couple of days from now, this exact moment. I guess if we're just looking at the calendar, basically, really not even a couple of days, but, we got the Christmas Day games right around the corner here. And, the era of those competitive teams as well, too, those rivalries in those games, it feels like that's where the league is moving back into, like, having those kind of maybe even defined matchups a little bit as well, too. Because we did have, again, like some top guys, like this sort of Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid run was, I mean, it's undeniable. Like, Giannis and Jokic have been the best guys in the league over the last couple of years. But, man, maybe this is the fault of the league as well too. Like, maybe the league should have had more moments where Giannis and Jokic should have been matched up against it on Christmas. And now that I'm even thinking about that, like, why has that not happened more often than not? Denver has, who are they playing on Christmas now? I guess they're not playing the Mavs. They're playing the Mavs now, and the Mavs are playing the Warriors on Christmas. So wait, we'll double check. Who is Denver playing? The Lakers are playing the Rockets. Are they playing the Suns? I was going to guess the Suns, but I also kind of don't want to guess the Suns as well, too. Are we going to get the Suns on Christmas? Oh, the Timberwolves. Okay, so that is fun. And, you have the Western Conference playoff implications, but in Edwards versus Jokic, I get it. But it would have been interesting, I guess, to go back retroactively and see how you could have paired that up. And maybe they try to stick to conference matchups, but I guess you got, if we're going back, like we're saying, the Cavs-Warriors was not a conference matchup. And you just had to have that on Christmas. But if I'm just thinking, the Bucks would have played probably like the Celtics, or, you would have had Embiid and Giannis try to match up as like an Eastern Conference type thing. But you do have now, of course, with like Wemby and Shea matched up this time. I do think kind of that same type of a little bit of high level anticipation for seeing the stars in the prime time. And again, we know and I know the NFL is there, but we know what these games look like this year as well, too. And it does kind of save space for the NBA, at least to have the star power moments in a way. So you do have, again, like this new matchup of new era stuff happening. And I guess we're excited for it because it's our team. And it's been a minute since we've been in primetime. And I don't even think we've been a Christmas team, even before that. We were a good playoff or regular season team with Kawhi Leonard and stuff, so it's not like we couldn't have been a primetime Christmas Day matchup type team then, but they just weren't necessarily putting us on Christmas at that time. And even with, of course, Duncan and Manu, we were the great team that's like, hey, day after Christmas, what's a primetime team we can save to, have some quality basketball the day afterwards? We'll put the Spurs on the 26th. I feel like if we went back and looked, the Spurs probably played a lot of games on the 26th, but now with Wemby, you gotta play on Christmas. It is what it is. So, I guess we're excited about that. We're excited about old Christmas basketball. And the Christmas basketball, it has been it has been pretty good over the last couple of years. And I don't know if this is just the sign of like this is just how it works. Like, there's just a certain phase of your life when those are the first things that you're gonna recall. But the last great Christmas game would we're missing one. If we say it's Cavs versus Warriors, and again, that's the last great game to like what kind of a level, because you've got the finals implications. Like, again, we just don't even have a finals rematch this year, so there's not even something with that same type of, I guess, animosity, rivalry, build up, revenge level factor to it, pride as well too. Like, if Halliburton was healthy, again, Wemby's such a crazy, we'll obviously stand up for our guy. Wemby's such a crazy star that you gotta play him. But Halliburton versus Wemby would be fun. I don't know. But we gotta watch Home Alone at some point. It is what it is. We're sitting here saying it's the anniversary for Home Alone, and we're rambling about Wembanyama. I don't know. Do we have time to talk about Michigan real quick? I don't know if we can delve into that. I guess we already did mention Phillip Rivers. I'm sure we could circle back somehow in the movie and compare. But yeah, we'll get this fired up. We'll be right back, chat. Hey, don't go anywhere. We didn't lie. The Home Alone anniversary rewatch is up next. We will get to it the Christmas season. It's a must. It's a must. So for our own personal sake, I guess, we'll throw it on. Hey, join us. Hey, come on in. Take a seat. It'll be fun. We'll go watch Home Alone. Do you get some snacks? I don't know. You guys eat snacks while you watch the Remington Pod? DM us on Instagram and let us know what snacks do you eat while, hey, I don't know, I guess DM us whatever you want in regards to that. We'll see what we get, but we'll be right back with the Home Alone 35th anniversary rewatch. Man, chat, what a classic. All right, here we are, chat. We are back 35 years later. Home Alone. It still plays. It still works. It still holds up. John Hughes, chat, written, produced in his writer-producer bag. We've got Macaulay Culkin in his actor bag. Joe Pesci in his bag. John Williams on the score. I mean, I think we should, like, pay more attention, like, going into movies, what movies, I mean, I'm sure we do, you know, when these high-level score guys are working on a film. And again, you know, Hughes and stuff, you know, you got a lot of names on this. It's not like, it's like, wait a second, what's this movie? What's going on here? But sometimes you don't even think about necessarily the score for a movie like Home Alone, but you get these iconic guys sometimes just hanging out in these classic movies where it does, you know, the score is going to play a factor in any, you know, movie, the emotion, whatever. You know how good it is. It's going to affect even a comedy like this, you know, even in the comedic moments, and then, you know, it's going to have that mix of, like, you know, we get that, even though, you know, you maybe don't think of it as the primary focus of, like, maybe, you know, like a John Wick movie or something like that, or, you know, like crazy, like Scorsese or who's the Marvel guy, Chad? You know, James Gunn. Like, it's just going to be like a playlist of, like, all the craziest stuff that you're gonna get, like, just like give me all the 80s hits, and it's like, oh, wait a second, the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack sounds good. Oh yeah, let me just buy the best of the 80s and then just change the cover as well too. But, you know, again, it works. Shout out, you gotta, I guess, curate to some degree. But, you know, this movie as well too is great for, because one of the things that I always think about with Christmas movies, and of course Die Hard, of course, gets debated like this as well too, of like, is it a Christmas movie? Like, you know, is it what does Christmas mean to the movie? And, you know, this has Christmas woven throughout it in such a way that, of course, you're not necessarily going to separate it from being a Christmas movie, but it is a movie that could take place over any time. And I guess to some degree, you know, if you've got like a movie about like family drama, or, you know, something like that, you know, of course, you know, those type of holiday vibe movies could probably be set at any point as well too. And I guess to some degree, you know, I was gonna say the family getting together for the holidays is often the reason for the movie, though. And I guess you do have a little bit of that in this, where of course you got the family taking the holiday trip, but you could have, of course, a family vacation at any point, and then, you know, the setup of them in the chaos of that, you know, of course, spoiler alert, I guess, you know, leaving their kid behind. Leaving their kid, should we say, Home Alone? Oh, Chad, it might be too early. I don't know if it's too early to drop the title. Do we have to drop the title, like, kind of around the time of, you know, the movie timestamp as well, too? Because you do get that, and you do get that in a good percentage of Christmas movies as well. And rewatching some, I was like, oh, wait a second, you do get some. I guess, do we have to go back and watch the old Christmas Carol? Does he say, like, stop singing that Christmas Carol at some point? Or maybe after, it might be afterwards. That might be a later one where he's like, oh, you know, I feel like a nice person now. Like, maybe I'll go sing a Christmas Carol. Is that how it ends? I think that's how it ends, right? That's the last line. That's why I remember that so well. But, you know, so you do get a lot of these Christmas movies working that in. But yeah, it's of course, it's such a, you know, good story, such a fun story that it could work at any time. And then the Christmas charm, you can't deny that Christmas does bring an extra charm and an extra element to the movie. And yes, it does elevate this story as well too. But if this was a summer classic, it would still be great. It would still, Home Alone in the summer, Macaulay Culkin messing up Joe Pesci would still be a fun story and a fun time. And I'm sure the box office and John Hughes and all that stuff would still work. I mean, you know, John Hughes dropping a summer family blockbuster, I'm sure that would be new for, you know, in 1990. Would anybody expect that? Again, I don't know, you know, was John Hughes falling off? I'm not sure. You know, we'd have to go back and double check the run in his career at that point. I'm guessing, you know, knowing John Hughes and the fact that this is back then, you say John Hughes, you say back then, hey, shout out, you know. I'm assuming it's a good movie. It is what it is. But it is, again, it's also, it doesn't necessarily just rely on the fact that it is a Christmas movie. It's like, here's a Christmas movie, these guys are hanging out at Christmas, and all of a sudden, you know, I guess Christmas stuff happens. I don't, you know, sometimes it's, you know, the genre does seem a little, like, and, you know, the top end 20, 50. I mean, how many Christmas movies, I guess, do you need to a degree as well, too? But I'm saying 20, it may really be 15. I don't know. You start getting into the sequels, though. If you really do love Home Alone, like, are we saying Home Alone takes one spot, like the Home Alone movies, or, you get Home Alone 1, 2, like, are we making the case for Home Alone 3? Is there a 4? I don't know. Like, again, do they just, like, if you're watching it, does it just get on the list? And then, again, you start getting into the debate of, like, what's actually a Christmas movie. Does it, does Scarface a Christmas movie? Like, because it has a lot of snow, like, just like you start getting into, of course, those types of debates as well, too. But this is, it checks the boxes of course, like we're saying, hot take, great story, and also captures the charm of Christmas. And you do, I guess, get the storyline with him and the old man and stuff, and there is kind of a Christmas. And you know what, for Hughes, I guess hot take, he pulls it off, chat. He does it. Pause. He's able to kind of weave in the Christmas spirit in that fun storyline. I guess because if that part of the story, you could have the reconnection, I guess, at any time, I guess a father-son reconnecting is not necessarily, that could happen at any point. We're not saying that it has to be just at Christmas time, but it is, of course, again, you get that added charm, but maybe does make a little more sense for kind of the, just again, that spirit of sometimes, and, I guess, if, whatever your situation is, shout out. Hopefully the Rem and Sam Pod family is a place you can always hang out at the end of the day. I mean, shout out. We'd obviously love it if the Rem and Sam Pod was a valued part of your holiday season. But hopefully there is obviously, a loved one or two mixed in there as well that is, around at this time. But, it is what it is. But either way, you do have, again, that does bring that kind of good, that lighthearted element, good-hearted, wholesome element to the story as well, too. But, of course, the chaotic family at the beginning, getting ready for vacation, and the iconic Chicago landscape. I mean, what's the correlation that MJ is in the room? Like, if this movie, if we're making it now, it's still probably MJ. It's probably, is Macaulay Culkin got LeBron, and has got the LeBron poster in his room? Does this have to take place in LA? I guess the thing, of course, about Chicago is if you get the big city setting in a way, and I guess Hughes is, of course, working the Chicago scene, for some of his movies. But you do also get the winter element as well, too, versus if this was, again, an LA family, and it's like, I guess it could be, is it Cleveland? Is it a Cleveland family? Macaulay Culkin's based in Cleveland in I guess it would have to be like, what, 2016, 2018 at the peak of the powers. And Miami as well, too. You can't necessarily have I guess you can have a Christmas in Miami. Shout out to the people in Miami. I'm sure there's still, if Scarface is a Christmas movie, I think that one is that the Christmas movie set in Miami? It might be. But, it's the winter element is a little bit different in Scarface than it is in Home Alone. So, you get that with the Chicago city. So, again, I guess Home Alone 2 is New York, right? So, I guess Home Alone 1, as much as we love, Home Alone 1, I would say we haven't necessarily gotten into the franchise. But, hey, I mean, I'm not against that. Maybe we'll just get into the franchise over the next couple years. Maybe, I guess it's still a couple days to Christmas. Screw it. We'll throw on Home Alone 2 and 3 and just let them play in the background if we've got nothing better to do. I guess, do we watch all 3 Fridays if Friday After Next is a Christmas movie? I think we do. So, that is, I was going to say, is that a franchise where we'll watch all the movies around Christmas time? I'm not sure. Maybe a couple other times a year as well. But the first one, of course, is a staple in the rotation. You don't need us to say that. But you do. Oh, the Gold Tooth shining, chat. Shout out. Pesci, of course, at the peak of his powers. And, now we have to Google the name of the mom as well, too. Shout out, chat. We're bad film fans if we're forgetting that. It is what it is. But hey, sometimes you can't remember everybody. Catherine O'Hara, chat. Shout out. Okay, I just kept getting Katharine Hepburn stuck in my, that was the name I kept thinking about. That's obviously not the right name, but that's just the only name that I was like, okay, it's close to that. So, we'll just walk over to the old Wikipedia and see what it is. So yeah, Catherine O'Hara, shout out, of course, iconic role. Hey, yo, chat. Maybe, sorry to Kevin. All due respect, but maybe we wanna get your mom home alone. I'm not sure. But hey, be careful what you wish. Well, I guess moving on to the next scene. Careful what you wish for, Kevin, because he's saying he never wants to see him for the rest of his life. I mean, maybe this movie is a little bit on Kevin as well too. I mean, the family is, he's got people picking on him. He's not necessarily, I guess, is he not the center of attention? But maybe get him in the mix of requests as well too. Maybe filter a request from Kevin through every now and then and see what happens. But also, I mean, and I'm sure this is not us being original here, but I don't know why Kevin is maybe so obsessed with getting attention from everybody as well too, because I mean the room is pretty sick. Like, yes, you're at the bottom of the, again, you're at your request gets submitted last. It is what it is. I guess maybe your desired slice of pizza is maybe not always the one you get, but you get the entire attic to yourself. So again, is that like, oh, Kevin, go hang up there, go be up there by yourself. But it's not a bad setup. It's not bad whatsoever. And I guess he doesn't have the MJ cutout up there, but he's got the cool Chicago flag. He's got a ton of space going on. I mean, I don't know where John Hughes ranks in terms of like bedroom setups, but between Home Alone and Ferris Bueller, and I'm sure a bunch of other ones as well too. Like, this is some pretty iconic. He knows how to fit out a room for sure. Like, they definitely look pretty cool for back in the day. And there is a clutterness now as well too that you'll get with just a bunch of random stuff hanging out in somebody's like, a bunch of figures. I guess like now it's just like like Funko Pops and stuff instead of whatever the action figures were back in the day. Did they have Funko Pops back in the day? And a good Hughes, he's cooking with the story. Of course, you get the storm breaks the electricity, the alarms go out. Like, sleeping in sort of being late for a flight is iconic enough of a trope that you could just work that in as well too. Oh no, we missed the alarm's going off. But you get the little added winter element as well too, to kind of, I don't know, make it more realistic as well. Hughes always, answering all the questions, chat. Who, what, when, why did the alarms not go off? Because the trees knocked the wires down. Shout out. So, he's got a reason for everything. Get the little time lapse running around and this doesn't just go for this as well too. I mean, it goes for, you don't want to necessarily say the whole mindset of the, making a movie, because they're definitely taking themselves seriously, but there was also an element of themselves, they're willing to admit that it's a little bit of a movie as well too. And he's like, I'm just gonna throw in a time lapse of the, they're just gonna run around, it's gonna be like a cartoon of them just running around getting ready for the airport. But I mean, that is, again, if you're late and you're running around, I mean, that's not a feeling as well too that you can't relate to rushing around for a flight. Fortunately, flying out of the Midwest is fairly easy. Airport traffic anyways, getting through like TSAs and stuff it's kind of a breeze. It is what it is. And if you hot take, if you give yourself time, it's not that difficult as well too if you're traveling through a city. I mean, I feel not a hot take. Most of the time your difficulty is going to be, I would feel like, getting the changeover. What do they call that? I don't know. Hey yo, maybe we need to fly more, chat. We're not a comedian. I guess we don't have our airplane routine worked out at this point. Comedian 101. But you're gonna get, of course, stuck in the exchange, the plane exchange. Hey yo, what is it? The layover. It's not, I guess, a layover if you're just switching flights. But yeah, shout out to, and again, this, we could get into like the state of comedies and all this stuff. But this one as well too, it's not necessarily even a comedy that, relies too crazy on like, people are gonna, say like absurd things, and it's just kind of, crazy, like, and not say that, joke movies are bad as well too. And you do of course have, great comedians in this movie as well, with later cameos. And I don't know, in like research for the movie, if, they're letting guys improv and stuff as well too. But you imagine in some of those scenes that they are, when Candy shows up, you imagine that they are maybe letting him cook a little bit as well. I don't know if they set him in the direction, if Hughes is like, this has to be a polka guy, and then, Candy just cooks from there. But, or if he's like, hey, you just got this group, and then, make something up from there. But, and also, of course, in the scramble, you forget your kid. I mean, again, not a hot take to say, where is forgetting your kid on vacation in terms of, sort of bad parenting moves. Maybe, I guess, a drive versus a flight in terms of forgetting your kid. What's more likely? Because, and I know that, I don't know, I guess we never flew pre 9/11, so, we can't necessarily say, I guess you just walked on the plane back then. That's always, hey, they didn't even have security. They didn't even have airports before 9/11, I don't even think. You just, like, they just had planes parked on the runway, is what people say, and then people just like, I'll take a seat on that plane, and then just walk over. So, maybe the ticketing process in terms of tracking everybody is not there. But again, if you're running through a big airport as well too, not to just, I guess, the Rem and Sam pod eviscerate, Home Alone, why Home Alone couldn't happen. 2 minutes in, they're turning around being like, oh, we forgot Kevin. Because I think you could legitimately get to the airport without Kevin. Again, he's, and also the youngest one, you're probably going to be, that's going to be the one you're going to be like, hey, we got to help this guy out. Maybe the older ones, you got to be more responsible. And of course, it turns out, Kevin, of course, is the most responsible one. I'm just, and again, the mindset of the parent, I guess, in this one is maybe a little bit different. I guess, well, as I say, they got themselves in first class, and the kids, that I think that might actually be an A+ parenting move, honestly. Do kids need a first class seat? If you got, 12, 10, like, what are we doing in first class? It is what it is. I don't want to be I'm not anti-kid luxury over here. It is what it is. If a parent has done well enough, if Mr. I guess what's McAllister? If Mr. I was gonna say Mr. McCulkin, I think maybe Mr. McCulkin could afford it. But if Mr. McAllister, who I'm sure people have talked about, is doing well, if he was doing well enough to get everybody in first class, shout out. But maybe a family that size as well too, you're kind of going to be taking up a lot of first class. If a lot of first class is, you're like, wait a second, do you really need that seat? Like, that might be a little, that's going to be a tease for the rest of the plane. But in the chaos of getting everybody into the van, the parents are maybe a little more focused on themselves with just running around, being late for the alarm. You could see that. But getting to the airport and then running around, okay, everybody grab your stuff, let's go, load up, pause, like, we got it. I don't know if, Mr. McAllister's throwing a pause in there, but, you gotta, everybody gets their suitcases, you're checking in, I feel like there's a where's Kevin once you get into the line, into like the first line. So they must have been able to really, maybe they, again, I don't know, was TSA pre-check around in 1990? I guess when they're filming this in the 90s, 89, was TSA pre-check around in 1989? So were they able to get through the airport lines just real quickly, and then the parents are running through the front of the lines because they want to, they've got the tickets, we got to get through first. These are all the kids. Okay, everybody's following. Let the family through. And then maybe, I guess you could, if you could get on the plane, and then you got the kids and then the parents are in first class. Maybe it is possible. Maybe it actually is possible to leave your kid thinking it out. I don't know. Or maybe they actually don't love Kevin. I'm not sure. But I don't know. Parents, let us know at Rem and Sam Pod on Instagram. DM us. I don't know. Can we ask for? I guess we're not going to ask for just the moms to DM us. That would be crazy. But parents of all parents. DM us at Rem and Sam Pod and let us know, how possible do you think it would be to forget your kid? What would have to be the family size? And I think it's also kind of established a little bit in this that maybe the aunts and uncles aren't as, I don't know what the competency of the aunts and uncles are in this. So if the McAllis, if Papa and Mama, if Catherine O'Hara and the husband there are really having to take charge of the family vacation, then maybe, if they're almost having to see where the aunt and uncle are at as well too. Can we get names on the aunt and uncle? Can we get names on? Does anybody know what Kevin's dad's name is? Hey yo, that might be a little bit of a quiz as well too. I guess his mom's name is Kate. So Kate McAllister. I don't know if I necessarily would have thought of that if it was like a trivia question. If we were at B-Dubs and it was on the TV, like what is Kevin's mom's name from Home Alone? Catherine O'Hara. I guess we would have said Catherine Hepburn if you had asked us, a couple minutes ago. But his dad's name is Peter McAllister. Shout out. Joe Pesci's name, Harry and Marv, I think pretty iconic. Buzz, the brother, of course. Uncle Frank. I don't know. Maybe I think Uncle Frank might be more of a name. And I guess, you call him Uncle Frank. He does Kevin walk around going, "Hey, Peter." That might be a little bit of a reach. But yeah, I guess he wouldn't say, Kate either. But Uncle Frank might not be the most helpful in terms of organizing the vacation. I'm not sure. And you have to remember even where they're going. They're going to Paris. But what are they going to Paris for? They're just going to spend Christmas in Paris? The McAllister, I'm reading the plot here. What does it say? The McAllister family prepares to spend Christmas in Paris, gathering at Kate and Peter's home in a Chicago suburb on the night of their departure. So yeah, they're literally just going to Paris. Is that a thing that you do for Christmas? I mean, you definitely travel for Christmas. But to Paris? Is that the Christmas city Paris? I don't. Does Paris know? Is that? Well, it depends on, I guess, what we're asking at that point. But what are we allowed to Google here? Does Paris get snow? Do we say in the winter? I guess if we have to specify. Does it snow in Paris? That might be a better way to phrase it. Honestly, does Paris get snow? I think they do. If the McAllister's family is showing up, I don't know, Kevin, with all due respect, your mom is some fine, do we say some fine snow, Miss McAllister? We're going to get canceled, chat, for the way we're talking about, Miss Kate McAllister over here. Hey, yo, shout out. With all due respect, we tread lightly. But 7 things, I guess it does get pretty wintry in Paris, it looks like. I don't know what blizzard season looks like over there, but I think you could have a white Christmas in Paris. So I guess is that where they're going? They're just like, we have to see the Eiffel Tower in December. Hey yo, now we're getting too crazy. But then again, Kevin, he's locked in. He's ready to go. So he's obviously got the responsibility of the shopping and all the other stuff handled as well. But and the enjoyability of some independence. He gets to pick the movies. He gets to eat the meals and stuff, make his own food there for a while. So, and it's not, he's not on his own at the end of the day. He is, left, it's not great. But I guess at some point they will be back. So I don't know. See, I've just got to keep that in mind. I don't know. That might be, is that a different version? Is that Castaway, Home Alone Castaway version? Then that might, that's definitely a little sadder, but a little darker. Maybe Joe Pesci doesn't make it out of that movie. Kevin takes a dark turn, and he has to exact his revenge on poor Marvin. I guess what was Harry? Which one was which? Marv is Harry is Pesci. Marv is the other guy. So if he has to, I guess he would definitely take out Marv first for sure. It is what it is, and then maybe Pesci at the end of the movie. It's the final showdown. Kevin McAllister's final dark twist after he realizes his parents aren't coming back. Chat, that's that's sad. That's no fun for our guy Kevin. But if it is the Christmas vacation scenario, then you're like, okay, you got a couple days. Maybe I don't know, Kevin. I don't know, has he a fan of Paris? Can we get Kevin's takes on Paris? I mean, again, he's got apparently responsibility and opinions and stuff. You can set some pretty good traps. He can go grocery shopping, so he may have opinions on Paris. I'm not sure. But, he also, again, he slept through as well, too. So I don't know if, again, they probably could wake him up as well. I guess that's probably the part, honestly, where where like we're saying, if they're not worried about waking anybody up, if they're just yelling, if they're just going, hey, wake up, everybody, we gotta go, and then they're not checking anybody's rooms, then I guess you could get away with it. But if they check everybody's rooms and then don't forget Kevin, then again, obviously there's like 16 different opportunities where they could have figured this out. Figuring out in flight as well too. So, you can't really do anything there. I guess, if we're branching off for what this movie could have been as well, the horror movie version where Kevin is, actually Home Alone for good. Is that is that Home Alone 4? Oh, chat, that's not the version that we were pitching. We might have to pitch it a little bit differently. But Home Alone 4 good is definitely how they're remaking it now. Do we have to double check it? Is there a Home Alone 4? I feel like there's definitely some fourth Home Alone VHS, Home Alone 2, Home Alone the 25th anniversary edition. Okay, I don't know if that's it. Here we go. Sequels and franchise. The Home Alone franchise. What about a Home Alone TV show? Are we ready for that? Limited run? Netflix. Oh, 4. Oh, 5, 6. Whoa. Wait a second. 2021? Oh, this is a soft reboot. This isn't even same characters? Okay, I don't know about this. I guess, maybe they stopped using same character. Yeah, Home Alone 4 wasn't Macaulay Culkin. I guess Home Alone 3 wasn't as well, too. Like we said, we are not in on the franchise. But that's probably why. He is running it back for a lot of the cast and stuff in 2. And the same director, Hughes, on 1, 2, and 3. And yeah, 4 is in the same timeline, being released in 2002. I guess we don't really... produced by... Is this a television? First aired on ABC? See, this is like some made-for-TV movie. And then Home Alone, the Holiday Heist? I don't know what this is. You think you just get a kid to pose like Kevin McAllister and it works? At least with Home Alone, Sweet Home Alone... What's this called? Home Sweet Home Alone? Okay, at least with this one, they got different with the title and different with the poster. So in some ways, paying homage to the old poster is not bad as well. Keeps everything in line. But I like them being like, okay, we're doing our own thing. We're mixing it up. Home Alone in 2021 is gonna be different. So we've got definitely some upgraded, maybe like Nerf gun, sort of, maybe almost t-shirt can. Is that a pool ball gun? Hey, yo, he's got some kind of like, I don't know, like PVC pipe contraption. I don't know what this is, but he's got pool balls loaded into the top of it. Pause. So that would be crazy. Hey, yo, who is this kid? Kevin McAllister. Do we need a showdown? A battle royale? Kevin McAllister versus this. Kevin McAllister versus the Goonies? I don't know if we need to start, opening up a battle royale scenario for all these different, Kevin McAllister versus Children of the Corn. What kind of bracket could we cook up here? Hey, yo, this would be wild. But, and we're pitting him against groups as well too, but he did take down a 2-man team in Marvin Harry. So I guess the question would be, what would be the levels? How many in the group would it take? Could Kevin McAllister versus Stranger Things? Maybe he takes down other protagonists, other heroes. Maybe it doesn't need to be, again, the children, the town turned evil and all the kids are killing the parents. And they're like, hey, Macaulay Culkin, can you save us? Can we get Kevin McAllister in here to place his Hot Wheels around? And then maybe Malachi will step on a Hot Wheel and then he'll be down. Get a little paint bucket to the face for Malachi and then he'll be done. It is what it is. If Pesci can't stand it, then I don't know if the Children of the Corn will be able to take it as well. But, if he's just taking down anybody, if it's just Kevin McAllister versus Stranger Things, but I guess he could be Kevin McAllister versus Vecna, or what are the I almost called them the Doberman. What are the Doberman that are running around over there? There's something like that. The little henchmen alien guys that are running around. They take down the guy from Lord of the Rings that's with Winona Ryder. Is that Sean Astin's character? They get him right before he makes the breakaway. I guess spoiler alert, hey yo. But I think everybody's caught up at this point for at least that part of the show. I would assume. So shout out. And I mean, at the end of the day, again, making the effort to get back. I don't know. I feel like if you start checking into the hotel and then you're into the vacation, maybe you get the if you have a moment where like you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh, I can't believe we just forgot our kid in Chicago. Like I had a dream that our kid was back home in Chicago, home alone. Like that's funny. And then they're like, oh wait a second. Oh, see, that would be a sneaky way to work the title in as well too. Oh, I had a dream that Kevin was home alone. Wait, he's home alone. Oh no. But I guess they'll let Pesci take care of that as well too. And of course, a stretch, quote unquote, later in the movie where they're mixed in. And you get a couple of Pesci scenes throughout, but definitely a second half performance, a little off the bench from Pesci in this one. And who's the guy? The guy with the shovel? Hey, yo. I don't know if that's the way they have him listed in the credits here. Oh, chat. Hey, and speaking of the score for this movie, I just scrolled past the awards page. Best original score and best original song. So I don't know if that's... Oh, lyrics by Leslie Brucuse? Leslie Charles Brucuse. British composer, lyricist, and playwright. Shout out, all four. But he's British composer, lyricist, and a playwright. You gotta love it. But yeah, I guess Somewhere in My Memory, by music by John Williams, lyric by Leslie Brucuse. So shout out, one of those be right. IT will edit it in. So I don't know what year was this. I guess 90, 91. Best original song. It said it got nominated for both. So unfortunately, the Home Alone score was not quite able to take away the win in that Oscars. So we got Dick Tracy. Hey, yo, Sooner or Later. Steven Sondheim. We've got Godfather Part 3. Promise Me You'll Remember. Carmine Coppola. John Betts on the lyrics. Home Alone. Somewhere in My Memory. John Williams. Leslie Broussard. Postcard from the Edge. Shel Silverstein. And then Young Guns. Oh, that was I'm Checking Out. And then Young Guns 2. Blaze of Glory. The song John Bon Jovi. So the one from Dick Tracy ended up winning the Sooner or Later. So I don't know. John Williams maybe on the music could have gotten that one. I'm not sure. But best score, 1990. Did Goodfellas have a score? I think it just had a soundtrack. So again, that would have been Scorsese. Whoa, Dancing with Wolves. Shout out. So I guess Dancing with Wolves won Best Picture. It was cleaning up that year. Dancing with Wolves, Avalon, Ghost, Havana, and Home Alone. Havana, Robert Redford, and Lena Olin, Alan Arkin, and Rule Julia. Directed by Sidney Pollack, music by David Grusin. The film's plot concerns Redford, an American professional gambler who decides to visit Cuba in 1958. Oh, wait a second. We might need to finish that sentence. On the eve of the Cuban Revolution. Oh, Chad, is he a gambler in a lot of ways? Hey, yo. So, I mean, I don't know what this is, shout out, rest in peace, Redford. We're not going to sit here, months after he's gone and start criticizing his career. But what's this white savior poker player goes to Havana during the Cuban Revolution? Maybe we need to watch this first before we start judging. But that is a funny idea for a movie. I'm definitely going to see if it's on Tubi. Shout out. But best score from 1990. I mean, I think Ghost and Home Alone are, solidly in the rotation. It is what it is. Avalon, maybe not so much. We'll need to get this one in the mix. I guess cue the score up on Spotify or something. We got Barry Levinson. We got Armin Mueller-Stahl, Elizabeth Perkins, Joan Plowright. I don't know if Plowright is the correct way to say that. But fun looking poster. So I don't know what we got going on for this movie. Drama film. Not really given much for a premise anyways. So I don't know if we scanned through the plot. But 40s, 50s, Polish, Jewish immigrant, first arrived in America, settled in Baltimore. So we've got a character named Sam. Television is new. Neighborhoods are changing. Whoa, it just says that in the plot. Hey, yo, it's just very descriptive. Usually it just, gives more story than like, hey, this is what's happening in the world at the time. But Sam's wallpaper has been Sam's profession. I guess, hey, yo, spoiler for Avalon if you haven't watched it and you want to. It's best original score 1990 if, you're checking those movies off your list. But wallpaper has been Sam's profession, but his son's Jules wants to try his hand at opening a large discount appliance store with his cousin Izzy. Maybe even they'll do their own commercials on TV. Jules and his wife Anne still live with their parents, but Anne quietly enduring the way her opinionated mother-in-law Eva dominates the household. Anne is a modern woman who even learns to drive a car. I guess, again, it did say, whoa, I mean, we're reading the plot, chat. We're just reading what it says here on this Wikipedia article, and I think it's putting that in the context of the fact that it's, you know, the 1940s and 50s, and that maybe is just cutting edge for anybody back in the day, is hopefully what it's saying. So I don't know if we need to reread that sentence, but moving on. The family contributes to a fund to bring more relatives to America. Slights, real or imagined, concerned the family as when Anne and Jules finally moved to the suburbs, a long way for the relatives to travel. After arriving late and finding a Thanksgiving turkey has been carved without him, Uncle Gabriel is offended and storms out, beginning a feud with Sam. Sam also cannot understand his methods. His grandson Michael's teachers use in school, or why Jewel and Izzy have changed their surnames to Kanye. What's this? K and Kirk, as they launch their business careers. Whoa! But chat, this movie is crazy. But when various crises develop, including an armed holdup and a devastating fire, the family gets their problems together. Hey, yo, I mean, I guess, you know, it's telling the story of a family in a certain time, for sure. I'm not, you know, definitely just like, hey, it's a slice of life. That's for sure. I'm not really sure what the A to B here is for this movie. Probably why it just ended up sort of with a score nomination. Wait a second. 4 Academy Awards it got nominated for. Oh, it was definitely nominated in the technical categories. That's for sure. Cinematography, costume design, and best original score. So, best screenplay, though, written directly for screen, Barry Levinson. So he was cooking with some dialogue, maybe. You could see that. Shout out. And, you know, again, we probably need to, probably not the best summary of the plot, to be honest. Maybe we should see that movie just to update the Wikipedia page and get that a little more, a little more concise, a little more, get it so it maybe reveals a little bit more of what the movie's actually about. But, you know, we get I think a good glimpse there. And then Dances with Wolves is, I don't know, classic. Is that the right term? But I think we know what's going on in that movie. So yeah, Home Alone. I guess a little probably snubbed in some of the other categories, but again, this is 1990 as well too. I mean, pretty crazy year. I mean, we could go back and complain about the 90s, or complain about how right now is not like that time and how film has fallen off. But for the 63rd Academy Awards for Best Picture, 91, we've got Godfather Part 3, Awakenings, Goodfellas, and Dances with Wolves. I don't know. Do we have to go back and look at 1990 in film? Hey, yo, we hate to just be the rewatchables and just, redo the Oscars. But just to take a quick look, and the box office, probably not the correct way to look at it. So if we were looking at the box office, again, Ghost, we could have added Ghost for sure. Pretty Woman was I guess Home Alone was 2 at the box office. So Ghost was number 1. Hey, that just shows you the power of that movie for sure. But I guess, it came out earlier in the year. I don't know if there's like a calendar thing that works. So maybe the Home Alone thing is more impressive because it was in fewer weeks if it's just going calendar 1990, or if it gets, a same sort of 12-month comparison or whatever, similar calendar comparison to Ghost. I don't know. But either way, I guess Home Alone, I guess it would make sense to me that it would be the most pop culture powerful movie of just, that year, just in general. And I'm sure, of the, 90s decade in general, like we're saying, for a holiday season, it's just iconic rewatch as well. So even now, but Goodfellas as well too, for the time. And again, you got, like we're saying, Ghost just being pretty major. Total Recall's number 5, Dances with Wolves number 4, Back to the Future Part 3 number 6, Die Hard 2. You do see the start of not necessarily like crazy franchising, but you do see, of course, some trilogy stuff, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at number 9. So some IP stuff there in the works in 1990. But yeah, it could have been, I guess Goodfellas not in the top 10 for box office that year. Kindergarten Cop number 10. Shout out, I guess, Arnold over De Niro in 1990. It is what it is. And over Liotta. But it could have been, I guess, do we have to take out Dance with Wolves if it's the most nominated film? Maybe it just has to stay. But if it's Goodfellas, Dance with Wolves, Home Alone, Ghost, and Pretty Woman, mean, it's not a bad 5. It's definitely, again, if we're going just the pop culture 5, it's probably pretty close to that. Again, we're just basing that off the top 10 of the box office here. There's probably a couple more movies from the year that we could consider as well too. But I mean, and Ayo Pesci, of course, I mean, shout out, getting nominated for the Goodfellas role. And I don't know if you could say that his role in Home Alone is better than his role in Goodfellas, because I mean, you know, that's one of the greatest movies of all time, and it's because of every single piece of that movie is so high level. And Pesci in that movie is it's still the best of what Pesci can do. I mean, he was obviously trying to attempt that, not even attempt that. He was doing that excellently in Casino as well. And I guess we could. Do we need to double check like a, I don't know, like a My Cousin Vinny or some of the other maybe, more other, just some of the other roles that Pesci was doing in his career? But that's still the best, again, version of what he is as an actor. But this is right up there as well too. And I guess, are there similarities between Harry and the character from, Goodfellas as well? There is kind of a unhingedness that goes with both of those guys. I mean, he's just more unhinged in Goodfellas, and then probably even more unhinged in Casino. But if you just keep toning it down, then you do get to Home Alone. So it's like the 90s are just, Pesci's just going to work through all of his ranges of like anger and emotion and crashing out. And then, I guess we'll see where we go from there after, we get done with that run of movies just for his career. And then, I think we could go back and look. I'm sure it still has panned out okay. But that, of course, was when he was at the peak of his powers. And I was looking at a list as well, too, of like the highest grossing actors for a given year. And I guess I'm thinking about it now. I don't remember if I saw his name on there. So I don't think, individually, I guess for these two roles, he didn't quite break that list. Let me go back and look here. 1990. Now I'm curious, who would it even have been that guy? It might have been somebody. Were they selling tequila brands back then? Because some of the guys in the newer years were the highest paid like actors, because on the year they like made some crazy business deal, and then all of a sudden they were, considered making a lot of money for the profession, which is, again, is like the person in that profession made a lot of money, but I don't know if they necessarily made it from acting per se. But we got for 1990 Stallone at 63 million. So wait, what's this? Associated Press. Let's see if we can retrieve this article here. Eddie Murphy in 89 at 60. Shout out. Oh, page unavailable. Hey, yo. But we could, it does give us a link to this Porter Jr. versus Rollins. Kevin Porter. Shout out, let's say Michael Porter. Kevin Porter and Ryan Rollins guides Bucks past Pacers 8 minutes ago. So I don't know if we click on that. But yeah, we might not be able to access and see what this list is at. So Pesci didn't make more than Stallone in 1990. It goes Stallone 87, 88, Murphy 89, Stallone again in 90. And then Costner 91, 2, and 3, Harrison Ford 94, Stallone again in 95, Arnold in 96, Cruise in 97. And this is all for the guys as well too, I should be saying. Harrison Ford 98, Hanks in 99 for the, I guess, end of 80s. 90s there. It's got Jane Fonda listed for the ladies in 87, then doesn't have anybody listed from 88 to 94. Hey, yo. And then 3 years of Roseanne. So Kevin Costner takes over for the guys in the early 90s, and then Roseanne for the ladies in the late 90s, 95, 96, 97. Roberts, 98, 99, and then 2000. Again, unpublished in 2001, just in general. So, I mean, Julia Roberts, undebatable. Dion, chat? Is she the Dion of actresses in the 90s? I guess from a box office standpoint, though, Streep, of course. We got, I guess I shouldn't say it like that, Streep out here, taking all of Julia Roberts credit. Hey, yo. But, I don't know. I guess I can't necessarily say we'd rather watch a Julia Roberts movie than a Meryl Streep, but I'd probably rather watch Pretty Woman than any Meryl Streep, and she is in Ocean's 11 as well, too. And she is in Ocean's 11. It's not like she's just cameoing in Ocean's 11. She's a major part of the movie. I mean, I guess the whole heist is because Julia Roberts is in the movie. It is what it is. You know, if anybody, you know, well, I guess we can't say what. Would Clooney pull the heist if it was Meryl Streep? He would have to, chat. You would have to. Meryl Streep, you know, you got to. But I mean, the movie is what it is. They casted Julia Roberts in the role, and he pulls the heist because of Julia Roberts. So, shout out. But yeah, and then I guess some Downey years later as well too. Highest grossing individual roles: Keanu, The Matrix, or I guess just years. Keanu, Matrix Reloaded, and Revolutions. And then if we're going individual movies, Bruce Willis, Sixth Sense, 1990. Hey yo. And then some Downeys in there as well too. Alec Guinness in 1977 gets the bag for Star Wars, $150K. Hey yo. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th. They've got him as the 8th highest paid actor of all time. Not actually at 150K, but 150K for 1997, I guess. And 95 total. Imagine, Chad. Is that how much he's just made over the years because the movie's done so well? You know, hey yo. I mean, did he get stock in the movie? Because even, well, they got like Downey's total income listed for Avengers Endgame, and they just have it, I guess, at 75 million plus. So I think that's what his salary was for both movies. But Guinness has made $95 million off of Star Wars, off of $150,000 salary, which again, I guess was good back then because they needed him as well too. I guess, I don't know if he was necessarily the Downey of the Star Wars universe. I don't know if that is a fair comparison, but he was definitely the, you know, the high level actor that was brought into the early movies. So investment paid off okay there. There was definitely a meeting at some point. They were like, we don't have enough on the salary cap to spend $150,000 for Alec Guinness. They're like, hey yo, you know, do we have to make a trade? Can we trade Alec Guinness? Now, you know, we don't know 70s actors that well, you know, because I guess you'd probably have to trade more for Pacino back then. Would Pacino be a good, I don't know, Pacino in 77 is probably not ready to play, Ben Kenobi at that point. I guess Pacino in 77 is a little closer to, you know, Godfather, Scorpio, you know, Dog Day Afternoon Pacino. Because that's what, Dog Day Afternoon 75 is Scorpio 79. So yeah, it would have been a much younger Ben Kenobi. Honestly, Pacino as who's the other guy? Obi-Wan. This, because we got a good signal. Oh, are we back? Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think we might be good to go. Hey yo, we were down for a second there. Pause, but I think we are up and running. Johnny Carson back on the TV. Okay, we are good to go. Hey yo, because I mean Kevin is watching Johnny Carson. Shout out, he's locked in. So I guess, did they say, is this supposed to be like the year it dropped? Is Home Alone supposed to be set in the late 80s in 1990? Because I guess when was Carson making the run there? You know, I'm not counting Carson out. I'm not saying Johnny Carson wasn't on TV in 1990. But does that date this, is what I'm wondering. Or is he just locked in on Johnny Carson reruns as well too? Oh, I guess, did he pass away, R.I.P. in 2005? Yeah, okay, so I guess up to 2005. Comedy career up until 1994. Okay, so he was still going. If that's when he was doing the television show all the way up until then. Let's see here. Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. And then I guess the 90s, is that when Leno took over after that? Or was there somebody in between there? He was on the Tonight Show. I don't know why the years are so hard to locate here. On 1992. So 1996 or 1962, ayo, to 1992. Whoa. 30 years of television, chat, unparalleled. We might almost have to just like stand up and have a round of applause for Johnny Carson there. So yeah, he would have been on the last couple of seasons at some point. Maybe Catherine O'Hara would have been a guest on the episode he was watching. I'm not sure. Honestly, could Macaulay Culkin have been a guest? I guess after this, of course, he could have been a guest on Carson. But before this, could Richie Rich have got him on Macaulay Culkin? Which I think is also on Tubi right now, if I'm not mistaken. But was that 88 when that movie dropped? What do we gotta look up for? Oh, 94. Oh, that was after. Oh, chat. I'm a fool. Hey, yo. This was at the peak of his powers. He's Richie Rich. This is just a biopic. at this point for Macaulay Culkin, dominating the early 90s. Hey, yo, we might have to pull up a list here and see what we've got in order. And of course, hey, yo, going shopping, being the responsible adult, getting some, what's he get? Fabric softener. I guess he gets, or we got a little orange juice in the mix. Oh, there's the fabric softener. Shout out. Is that just some product placement? We've got some sneaky little Tropicana, some Tide getting mixed in. Imagine if we're making this movie now, like we said, he's got the LeBron cut out, but he's not getting that fabric softener because he's responsible. You're like, wait a second, Kevin, you got Tide Pods? Oh, no. What are you doing with the Tide Pods, Kevin? Put those away. So, much different movie. She's got to rush home and save him from eating Tide Pods and making TikToks. But now, 1990, it's just funny, I guess, if he's responsible and going grocery shopping. The Nutcracker pause in 1993, and then getting even with Dad in The Page Master and Richie Rich in 1994. So that was definitely his busiest year. Macaulay Culkin and Ted Danson. Whoa. The two biggest stars in Hollywood are 94. I don't know if that was necessarily the case, but definitely a lot of stars. Ted Danson's like, I need to make a career move here. What do? I start a movie with Macaulay Culkin, where he gets his revenge, I guess. And then Party Monster, he took 10 years off and then returned with a movie called Party Monster, a biological crime drama film. Oh, no. Saved in '04, satirical black comedy, Sex and Breakfast, independent dark comedy, The Wrong Ferrari. Hey, yo. His latest movie, Zootopia 2. Oh, he's back, chat. Macaulay Culkin is back. He's Rick Linksley? Rick Linksley in Zootopia 2. Oh, the voice actor role for Macaulay Culkin, it's there, chat. It's there. He can be a dominant Pixar star for the next 30 years if he really wants to. Imagine in the way he'll run Disney Plus, it'll be like Macaulay Culkin in Richie Rich and Home Alone and in Zootopia 2 and whatever the random Pixar movie is that we're watching. Hey, yo, chat. We haven't even been paying attention to Spurs Thunder. 3.5 minutes left in the third quarter. And, what do you know? What do you know? We said if you look up at a Thunder game, they're usually the ones up. We look up the Spurs on their home court, up by 15. Make it 18! Make it 18, Chad. Keldon Johnson for 3. Oh, we're here. Let's go, chat. We're back. Yes. Yes. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. We had a moment where we had the team. I guess we had the player. When we had Kawhi, we had the player. We had a really good supporting cast around him, of course, but that Warriors team was just, pause, impenetrable. And the injury, cut short what could have been a decent run there, but, could have been a title run as well, too. We saw him get one, of course, in Toronto. But then to have we're sitting here saying like it was, like we're a Jets fan, but, to have it's still plural, so we can't say to have the year, but to have, I guess we'll say the run. We'll say to have the run there where we were not necessarily the same competitive team, it's a bit of a bummer, and it doesn't, I guess, basketball wasn't ruined for us. I think you can check the tapes. We're still watching a lot of games, but, for your own team to be a team that you go, this is a group of guys that can win. And I think that is the fun part as well, too. It's not, again, like, again, I guess there is mystery at ultimately, like, what they will achieve. And I guess, again, is there still the question marks? Could we take this team in a 7-game series? I still would pick, you still have to pick the Thunder. You still have to pick the Thunder, even after we got them twice. But again, we still have to go to their home court, I guess. And if they take us by 30, then, I guess it all gets reset the minute the Thunder have a good game. But, hey, neutral court in Vegas and in a home court game, we're able to get the wins. Did they put in the bench? 3 minutes left? I see Kenrick Williams on the floor. Whoa! Oh, we got the bench. I almost just dabbed, chat. Hey, yo. Whoa. I'm getting excited over here. But the self-control, I don't know. You guys just witnessed the self-control. I didn't know what to do. But we just got Dagnall to sub in the bench against the Thunder. I don't know. Did Edwards do that? I don't know. We're the first team to get the bench. Oh, we have to go back to that Portland game and see what the score of the Portland game is. Again, this is only their 4th loss of the year. I don't know if this is a run now. What have they lost? 3 games this month? Oh no, the Thunder. The dynasty is crumbling, Chad. It's like the Chiefs all of a sudden. But, if Kendrick Williams hits a couple shots here, timeout Mitch Johnson immediately. This game's close. See, Dagnon knew what he was doing, chat. Dagnon knew what he was doing. He's like, let me sub in these guys. We're celebrating. There's still 2:20 left. It's 17. They can hit a couple threes and be right back in this. They're still in the 5 shots away. It's not too crazy. But regardless, it's clear that this team can compete. It's clear that this team can compete with anybody. It's clear that, Wemby's a building block player. It's clear that Castle and Harper especially are building block players. And, we have the core. We have the kind of starting to have the guys around those guys too. So again, will the core get to being a winning guy? Because, what Harper has as a skill set, you can see just even with him defensively in these matchups against the Thunder, you can see what value he'll provide. And then if he's able to increase his offense even just this year, then, what is the team capable of? But then, going forward as well too, just the upside of what those 3 guys could be together from a two-way factor is pretty terrifying as well. So I don't know, like we said, how many are the maybe it has to be a trio big 3 poster as well. Like if it's a San Antonio version of Home Alone, I guess, say what you want there. But San Antonio Home Alone, you still got the Tim Duncan trio up there. We're not getting crazy. It is what it is. But maybe there's just like a little Wemby poster in the background. A little Steph Castle poster, chat. A little Steph Castle bobblehead. If we get Kevin McAllister a Steph Castle jersey for Christmas, add to the collection. Hey, Kevin, we left you at home, so your new favorite player, Steph Castle, here's his jersey. You can put this right next to the Ginobili. Oh, man, how cool would Kevin McAllister be if he had a Ginobili, chat? Hey, yo. An Argentinian Ginobili, Argentinian national team, Ginobili. Hey, yo, Lindy Waters. We have Lindy Waters? Oh, chat, Lindy Waters did play for the Thunder. I don't know. We got some inside info. Hopefully the Thunder don't get a Spurs player. We can't cut anybody this year now, chat. Everybody has to stay on the team. We can't let anybody get out of the building. I had to lock down and make a run and see what's happening. Do we have Carter Bryant locked in? Shout out. It's like Carter Bryant's dribbling around here, chat. Hey, yo. I didn't realize he had improved the handle like he had, just in the course of the season. The Olynyk to Biyombo, the center to center lob. You love to see it. Locked in, chat. Hey, yo. Even if we lose on Christmas, we're up 2-1 on the season. It is what it is. We'll take pride in what we can as a team. And like we said, they're setting us up for failure there. We're probably going to have to go to OKC with them wanting to get revenge and prove that they are still the best team in the league. But, hey, yo. If it doesn't feel good, chat, pause, to be a competitive team again, I tell you what. Or at least to have competitive moments. I'm so afraid to jinx it. But, we got to be honest as well, too, about our fandom. So it is what it is. We put ourselves in a difficult spot. Pause. Thunder 3. Every shot they hit is going to be terrifying, but there's about 60 seconds left now as well, too. So it is starting to look like we're going to take this one, especially since we're up by 18 as well. Carter Bryant, keep it at 20. The step back. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. Whew. We're gonna get it, chat. And then if Denver loses their game, then we're in sole possession of second place in the West. We could be second place in the West. And Denver was down by 8 in the 4th. So I don't know if Jokic was able to close it out. Is it possible? Oh, Dallas with the 1 point lead, 1 point win. A 1 point win. Cooper Flag 31. Jamal Murray 33. Did Jokic play tonight? Maybe Jokic didn't play. Oh, he did. 29. Jamal Murray, the better score. 31, yeah, better scorer too. So you like to see that there. If you're Denver. They both had 14. Murray, did he just outplay Jokic tonight? Better field goal percentage, more points, same amount of assists, same amount of rebounds, less turnovers, higher plus minus, and less fouls. So this might be the one game in his career where just Murray's box score has actually just been across the board better than Jokic's box score. I guess 5 for 10 from 3 on Jokic for 3 for 7 for Murray. But yeah, shout out to Murray for a good performance tonight against the Mavs. But Davis, 31, 9, 4 assists, 1 turnover for Davis, not bad. And Cooper Flag with 33. So Davis and Flag are looking terrifying as well too. Hey, the West. if the West is going to be fun this year, I guess we're not going to be mad about that. Again, I guess we would like it more if it's just the Spurs versus the Thunder, then that is a lot easier for us to manage mentally. But then, these other teams being in the mix from a fun standpoint is no problem as well too. We'll be entertained by good playoff basketball at the end of the day. But hey, yo, chat, we got to cool off here. We might have to literally cool off. The room is starting to heat up. We'll take a quick break. We've got Kevin McAllister getting ready to set the traps, getting ready to, do we call it a Wembanyama? Getting ready to play defense on his house, chat. Hey, yo, I don't know. We paused, but Pesci, he's going to try to draw a foul. Okay, I think we might have lost it. It is what it is. We'll be right back. All right, chat, we are back, and Kevin is wishing for his family sweet Christmas wishes. I mean, a bit of a turn, of course, from earlier where he was wishing to never see him again. But that's the full circle character development of Kevin. We don't really hear about that in this movie. Again, it's about the family fun. It's about the traps. It's about Pesci being chaotic. It's about John Candy making some jokes. But Kevin does have a full character sort of turn as well, too. I guess also maybe he's just sort of the, emotional roller coaster of a young child as well. It is what it is. But shout out, we got the movie Santa showing up. There's got to be a Santa Claus appearance for a Christmas movie. And maybe one of the youngest movie Santas that we've had. I don't know. It seems like a lot of Santas, movie Santas are either like the actual Santa shows up, like Richard Attenborough is actually Santa, or it's, some drunk guy is just like, okay, this guy, has to get fired, so the real Santa gets moved in. Or, the trope is, right before the kid sees him, Ayo, his butt's out and he's drinking beer. And then, like, the kid wanders over and he's like, hey, can I see my family? But, I don't know, I guess we have to, do we rewind the tape? He's in, a pretty chill Santa, just hanging out, just kind of collecting a paycheck, trying to get the car to start. You feel for the guy. I don't know, is there some community service mixed in? That's probably what it is. Is he a community service Santa? I don't know if we assume there or not. But, we're pausing it. Hey, yo, I'm mixing up the TVs, trying to get the Clippers-Rockets game set straight here. Hey, yo, switching over from Spurs-Thunder. We defended James Harden's honor earlier. So, I guess, we get to watch him in a revenge game against his old team. Do we play tracks? Peacock's been trying to, push these games, during the live events. So you can click in and pick what stat card you want to predict is going to happen. So we've got Amen Thompson, 15 points. Okogie, 7 points. Durant, 25. 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Amen Thompson, 15, 6, and 5. Okogie, 7, 2, and 2. And Durant, 25, 3, and 3. Okay, that's option 1. Option 2, Bogdanovich, 10, 2, and 2. John Collins, 12, 5, and 2. And then, Josh Okogie again, 7, 2, and 2. Okay, that's option 2. And then option 3, Bogdanovich, Collins, and Chris Dunn at 7 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. We just got to take the stars, Chad. Amen Thompson and Durant, and just hope they get their numbers. Durant might get we got to get a username. Sleek Pond 33. Ruby Dot 237. I don't know. Maybe we just go ahead and just watch the game normal. I'm not sure. Let Kevin, hang out in church. Shout out. He meets of course, the shoveler. I don't know if that's a appropriate term for him, but the guy with the shovel, the creepy old man, the choir in the background. We got, I guess, John Hughes not directing, but we've got the camera work to make him terrifying. And I guess, a little bit of a Santa himself. You got the white beard in the mix. Maybe not carrying a traditional Santa frame. But if there's one thing we know about Santa as well, too, if he needs to turn on the Santa Claus frame, the Santa Claus metabolism is, he can fluctuate depending on what he needs. When it hits December 25th, he gets that Santa metabolism, kicks in, and boom, he will look like Santa on a moment's notice. But if it's just normal days, then we've seen Santa maybe kind of, carried. He's a little bit like Hemsworth or Christian Bale, honestly. Like, the body transformation from Santa is kind of underrated. He will go from, one way to another, just on a dot. It is what it is. And it's a skill. It is what it is. We're not saying anything about Santa compared to anybody else. We're just saying that Santa has this unique ability. Again, it's like some of these other actors. Some people just have it. It is what it is. We wish we did sometimes. I guess who doesn't wish they could just I guess it's shout out. And Christian Bale does. He has the commitment. So if you had the commitment, then I guess you could be like Christian Bale. But also, I guess there are some things about Christian Bale. Probably. Pause. But I forget what trainer we were watching, or what actor or something. Maybe it was another actor talking about them going to a trainer. And, you know, hey, yo, there are obviously tiers to this. There are levels to this. But he was saying that he's like, oh, I went to my trainer and was like, hey, I want to look like Brad Fight Club. What's his name? Brad Pitt in Fight Club. And he's like, okay, you know, I can give you the workout and we can get a body. But he's like, I don't know if I can make you, you know, he's like, I don't know if I can make you look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. He's like, actually, if you work out and you kind of have the same physique, he's like, I still don't know if you can look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. And he's like, fair. He's like, but I want to try to have the physique of Brad Pitt in Fight Club, which was like, okay, like I get what, you know, hey, yo. And, you know, I'm sure, you know, again, a 10 out of 10 Hollywood actor getting the you don't look like Brad Pitt. He's like, okay, you know what? I'm still probably going to be okay by the time we're done with this little routine. But, you know, again, there are, I guess, tiers to the transformation. So, you know, Christian Bale is definitely he's at the upper tier, chat. You know, even if we had the workout plan, I don't think we could look like Christian Bale in The Dark Knight. It is what it is. Or Psycho as well too. I forget what I was. I think we were looking at DVDs. Hey, yo, what was it? DVDs? Oh no, it might have been an Instagram post. It might have been like a cinematography from Psycho Instagram post, and it was like him in one of his like workout yoga poses or whatever. It might be the one where it's like you're just like you're just like up on your arms and just kind of like your triceps and, you know, hey, yo, arms and shoulders, everything's fire in there. And it's like, oh, man, Christian Bale is jacked up. It is what it is. Pause. Because, I mean, he's big in The Dark Knight, but he's, like, big in The Dark Knight. You know, he's not, I don't think, as lean as he is in Psycho. In Psycho, he's lean. Though, again, I think he's got, it's maybe in Rises, he's kind of like a, you know, like post-career, trying to in recovery phase, a little banged up sort of Batman physique. But yeah, in Dark Knight he is, and maybe even in Batman Begins as well too by the end of that one. I'm trying to think of which one. I think it's in Batman Begins where he's doing maybe some push-ups on like some suspended sort of situation. It's like these big, you know, beams out of the ground, and he's got like one, you know, pause, like one for each hand. You know, that's crazy. But, you know, he's like suspended in the air doing the push-ups. And they might even be one-armed as well, too. I don't remember. But, yeah, the Psycho stills are pretty nuts as well, too. It is what it is. But, hey, yo, Kevin and the old man. Did we get an old man name? I think we have to relocate the old man's name from this. Does it start with a Mr.? I think it might start with a Mr. Jonathan Hyde as Herbert Arthur Runcible Cadbury, the rich family's trusty butler. Hey, shout out Herbert Arthur Runcible Cadbury. Do they say that name in the movie? I don't think they do. I think that might just be a little bit of a bit for the people that see that. Hey, yo, Chad, are we gonna get copyrighted if this John Williams score is too loud in the background? It might be. Is John Williams just having crazy remixes on these Christmas songs? Maybe that's why we don't think about it necessarily as Jonathan Williams as well, too. And I'm sure, you know, those classical elements that he's bringing in makes it a little bit more, you know, gives it a little bit more longevity with the listenability to it. But if he's remixing in some of those classical elements, and then again, those are going to be the primary focuses as well, too. Where it's like, okay, this is... I guess what is this song? Like, I'm trying. What are the Christmas words of this song? I don't even know. But, you know, it is like a more, you know, it is in that sort of just classic Christmas song playlist tier as well. So he's got the game plan ready to go. He's got the traps getting ready to be set, and he does this all without ChatGPT as well, which is pretty crazy. So we do see him, we see him watching some movies. I don't know if we see him reading or like there's not like a library run in there. So I'm guessing a lot of movie watching and just, I guess, you know, the creativity is on 10 as well. Because some of the stuff is pretty elite. Like oh, wait a second. Did we just get something on our scorecard? It says Amen Thompson is unstoppable. He racked up half of his predicted rebounds. Oh, let's go, chat. Hey, yo. We're cooking right now on our predictions. Shout out. Did we get money on that? I think maybe we have to win some to earn some, but I don't know. If Peacock's just giving out free money for us being a subscriber? Are we in the ground floor early enough? Maybe not at this point. But like the ice on the stairs, pretty effective. Like, you got to do what you got to do. The Hot Wheels definitely will slow a guy down for sure. It'll definitely take a second to pause. But the heating up of the doorknob is definitely pretty smart. Like, that's a good, saw that in a movie, definitely copy that tactic to add in there. I don't know if we need a Mythbusters episode to prove why that's wrong, but I don't know. Mythbusters, make sure you're working with 1980s door handles as well too. Ayo! They might not be allowed to do that anymore, Chad. I'm not sure, but if you can get what we're saying, maybe not. But Chad, are we still alive on YouTube? Did they take us down? Are we allowed to say, can you work with 1980s door handles? I'm not sure. I think that might be a goal of ours in 2026, but we got Kevin praying. Whoa, our minds in different places. We got Kevin praying for the mac and cheese, the nutritious mac and cheese. Shout out. And it definitely is a hitting scene for us right now as well too, because speaking of 2026, that's one of our meal prep commitments. I guess one of our commitments for 2026 is trying to lock in meal prepping, which we did not do to start this week, and we were feeling it today, Chad. We were feeling it today. We were, I guess, thinking up of some New Year's resolutions at the beginning of the month, and we were like, well, I guess do we have to get to the end of the month to start meal prepping? We'll just eat food. We'll just let me make some food now. So once you start getting in the habit of it, and then, that's the schedule you're working on. Once you're like, wait a second, I didn't meal prep properly and now I'm scrambling, I'm behind. You're like, oh yeah, I see the value in it. So, and that was part of it as well too, is not to say that we didn't see the value in it, but you still, as much as it is a save time, it's an earn time to save time situation where, when you got you could have crippled Pesci right away. I mean, you get the, we can't do a caliber check here on the Rim and Sam pod, but a 22 chat, a 22 to the twos. Oh no. Like, you'd be done for the night right there. Maybe speaking of ChatGPT, we might have to ask ChatGPT, like, what is the actual damage you would take from a from a run through the McAllister? Is that what we call it, chat? That might be a pause. But there's no way that this is not a course. How is this not a course? You can go to the house, of course, and like take a picture outside the house and be like, I'm standing outside the Home Alone house. And I don't know if there's copyrights on like architectural structures. There has to be to some degree. I guess there are countries. I think there are some locations that have a lot of similar architectural structures as some other places, but also we have that in our own country as well too. Vegas has different versions of stuff that we have elsewhere. But if you had, if you could like rebuild the Home Alone house somewhere and then set up the course, maybe it's an insurance nightmare. That's probably do you want, I guess, because as I'm saying that, I am seeing the ice on the steps. The ice on the steps might be one that actually is that actually the most dangerous? If you don't see that, that could be brutal. The way Pesci goes down, where it's like the cartoonish, of course, I'm gonna slip walking up the steps, in the slip backward dramatic like flop back pause is of course a little bit more exaggerated. But when Marv hits that first step and then slides down, that actually is like something that could definitely hit you. The Chicago wintertime madness, you could definitely see something happen there. And yeah, like Pesci, he literally gets up to the top step and then slips. He's halfway across the stoop on the top step, and he slips and falls backward down the steps again. A little Kung Fu Panda-ish when he's trying to make it up the Jade Temple, and you're like, bro, just, you can just walk up the stairs. Like, I don't know, I guess it was his commitment to get in the cart, though. He had the noodle cart that he was trying to get up the stairs. Pesci, I don't really know if he has that. Marv now just, not really working the crowbar is bottom tier as well. The door is unlocked, so that's probably a first check. But also, this door, just looking at it again. I am not a crook, but I think we could probably figure out how to crowbar that door open. It does seem doable. So if that's part of that could be part of the course. Honestly, would that be a top 3 moment on the course? Trying to crowbar the door open? It might be, but then now you're in the house and you have to actually go through the obstacles. Oh, chat, the iron on the head. Yeah, this is brutal. Right down the oh, right down the laundry chute. Is that a laundry situation there? So Andy had it heated up. Oh no, chat. That's brutal. That is not good. That's concussion protocol. Is there a 2025 version? He's got LeBron in the he's got LeBron in the cutout. What else did he have? He's got oh chat, what he had a TikTok or something. Oh, we forgot. We should have written it down. Oh no. But now he's got I guess we now we forgot what the third thing is. It is what it is. We got Pesci now suffering at the hand of the iron though. Hey yo, see we got double entendres here. And then back down the stairs, sliding down the stairs. I think he was rescuing himself though by sticking his hand, of course, in the snow for some relief. The branding of the McAllister household logo now, the McAllister family crest forever branded on Pesci's hand is tough. So I don't know, maybe that would heal over at some point, if it was quick enough and not necessarily a branding, but that would be, a tough reminder as well too. Oh, the nail on the foot is tough. Marv definitely, I don't know, hot take, not a hot take, I don't think, but Marv definitely has it worse. I mean, the first couple is not even close. Again, Pesci is spending most of his time just falling down the stairs, basically on his own, on his own incompetency there. And then instead of going down the stairs or, even I feel like you could even put a shoulder to this door, to be honest. Again, I guess they are open here. He does have the trap set, the fire on the head. I mean, that, iconic. Top 3 iconic. I'm not sure. Pesci, again, lingering though. Lingering. In the snow, really saving him here. He's got a couple of snow bailouts. Oh, not really saving the top of his head though, chat. Oh, pause. Oh, no. Totally scorched. Again, they're just kind of the standing there in shock and panic. Probably not helping as well. But we've got an iron to the face, a nail to the foot, and then a slide down an iron, an ice step versus, I guess, falling down an ice step a bunch of times, and then brand on the hand and top of the head. But brand on the hand is definitely the one you're taking at this point. That's super painful. But if you gotta like get in a fight or something, I guess you're fighting the kid. So probably I guess what are we resorting to fisticuffs at this point? Maybe not. But I guess if the old man shows up and you got to really throw hands with him, then that might hinder your abilities there. But just in terms of the branding as well too, like if he's branded by the iron, that's just an embarrassment that is more difficult to cover up. You can go hands in the pockets. Joe Pesci's just in a hoodie. He's like a hands in his hoodie guy now all the time because he doesn't want to remind everybody of the branding. See, saran wrap, maybe there's some, I don't know, like some, I forget what he put on the saran wrap. Oh, like glue, and then he feathered him, tarred and feathered. I don't know. Maybe we have to cut that out. But either way, he is, modeling his tactics after some of those there. So again, you can definitely manage from that. And now we're back up outside, stepping on more glass. So the foot that already had the nail now takes the glass. This is tough. And the glass, of course, you have the sort of the walk after damage as well too. I mean, not smart enough to take maybe one big step out of there is, also unfortunate on his part. But he did get concussed earlier. Oh, that's what it was. The blue tent. That's what it was, chat. The blue tent. Oh, man. I can't believe we remembered that. But, shout out. So, IT, they're in our ears. We've got at least the blue tent set up for 2025 after he gets the iron. The NFL, they sent in the independent neurologist. And they're like, I think Marv might have got concussed on that one. He might not be able to run another play. So that would have saved it, that would have saved him as well, too. Oh, so now Pesci... Oh, and Pesci dodges the paint bucket. Marv with the paint bucket, chat. I honestly think Pesci... does he get paint bucket? There we go. Okay, now Pesci... I was going to say, does Pesci even get damage? Pesci might be at full health still by the time we get outside. Because then they go up the stairs and then... upstairs, out the wire, pause, we're running down in terms of the violence on the traps. Oh, the tooth is gone. Pesci's prized gold tooth. A little bit of a Rocket Raccoon in this one. He's like, I'm gonna get my gold. I'm gonna get that gold tooth. I'm gonna get the jewels. I'm gonna get the kid's arm. Hey yo, pause. Like, he is kind of operating on the same wavelength. Even though, hey yo, Kevin McAllister versus the Guardians of the Galaxy. If we're going back to earlier, that could be a good showdown as well too. You could definitely see Star-Lord and Drax taking a second to adjust to some of the traps that Kevin McAllister sets. I think that they could definitely figure them out a little quicker, and would definitely their firepower versus Kevin McAllister's firepower would definitely be a little bit more of a mismatch. But if Kevin McAllister has the home court advantage, and if is Kevin McAllister the Batman of Christmas movies, he just needs prep time. If Kevin McAllister has prep time, then he might be able to actually defend and keep up for a second. Because again, you can fool Drax. I think Star-Lord's got a couple of funny moments in him, and you might be able to get away. And I don't, full Marv is probably not quite the level you're going to get to. The one, of course, again, outside of Rocket, the one X factor in this all would be, speaking of Star-Lord, the one X factor would be Gamora. And if Gamora's locked in, and really it would be Star-Lord arguing with Gamora, maybe trying to maybe them kind of slowing each other down, and then Kevin McAllister can kind of just outsmart Drax. So I think Kevin McAllister's got 4 or 5 traps on Drax before Drax finally is locked in and maybe accidentally stumbles onto there. So there we go. Now Kevin, and then the crowbar to the ribs, Marv punishing his own guy, is probably done. Honestly, probably punctured lung from Pesci. Pesci now channels his Goodfellas guy and crowbars hits Marv a couple times. So if this was Goodfellas, he might have taken Marv into the room at some point and been like, hey Marv, you've done such a good job. We're going to make you a made man. And then pop, pop, pop. Turns out actually we didn't like the performance against Kevin McAllister. It is what it is. Maybe this is where Pesci starts. Or is it more likely that this is Pesci before or after? Did Pesci survive? Is this classic Hollywood? Pesci survived the headshot at the end of Goodfellas. He's actually alive. They pulled the bullet out of his head. It's okay. Patch it back up. Brain transplant. He's good to go. And he'll be alive for Home Alone. Or is this him before Casino? Or I guess because Casino would have been, 95 at that point? So if he is starting off as a petty thief in Chicago, robbing houses, and then out of revenge. Imagine going from getting beat up by Kevin McAllister to, making out with Sharon Stone on a couch. Or maybe even a little bit more. I think, is there a little car situation with him and Sharon Stone? I think there's a couple. But is there one in a car with him and Sharon Stone? I guess do we have to go back and rewatch Casino? I guess we did that recently. So maybe we weren't paying attention to... I guess we were being professional. We were being professional during that one. I guess, I don't know if we have to go back and rewatch it. The zip line tactics is another one where, at this point, maybe you run outside the house and just take the ground as well. You're playing right into the hands, chat. Oh, no, it's like OKC versus San Antonio. See, now we've jinxed it. Now they're going to lose on Christmas Day. We're setting ourselves up. But what are we going to win 3 in a row against the defending champs? There's no way that's going to happen. Oh, chat, Iron Man, cut the wire. Hey, yo. And we got Marv and Harry down on the ground, out for the count. So their resilience is honestly underrated as well, too. Kevin gets a lot of credit for the ingenuity, and I think pound for pound what he's able to cook up as well, too. Again, with, the fact that these are 2, adult men that he's competing against. He definitely has the much better performance, but they do, just in terms of them getting through the fight and taking the damage. Again, Marv is like, I don't even know who the boxer comparison is here. This is, Canelo. This is Tyson versus Wilder. I don't know if we can compare Macaulay Culkin to Deontay Wilder, but I think we can compare Marv to Tyson Fury a little bit. It's like, how is Marv still getting up off the mat? What is happening? His feet should be done. He's walking on the sides of his feet. Honestly, he's, the character consistency here from Marv is top notch. He remembered that he got the glass stepped on the feet earlier. We walk through the road. We keep the consistency there. We've got the iron print still on the head. It is what it is, locked in. And they were they were able to catch him as well too. So at the end of the day, and again, you got to give him credit. Like, he's able to cause as much damage and inflict as much as he was able onto these guys. Like, it's top-notch stuff. And then even making the friendship with the old man as well too. Like, that's all part of it. Joe Pesci. I guess we're getting mixed up here because he's going to eat the fingers. I don't know what he's doing trying to eat the fingers. That is a little bit of a character turn for Joe Pesci. I think that's just kind of like, I think that's maybe something you start saying, and almost not in like a Joe Pesci type of way there, but maybe if you're got like a little, maybe like a 3-year-old, I don't even know. What is like a cute age to like gobble up? I'm gonna gobble up your fingers. Like, I feel like that might be a little weird at any time, but I don't even know what Joe Pesci is channeling there. But yeah, I guess that's where he's going. But the cops showing up just in time, sliding into the driveway. We got stunt drivers working the Chicago police cars in the 1980s. So I don't know if Kevin slicked down the driveway as well too, but they were definitely locked in there. It is what it is. And chat, the head. Again, the character consistency. You love to see it. Joe Pesci, he never leaves character. What's the name of our other actor hero? I don't know why I have the Richie Rich. Oh, that's why I was getting confused. Because I had the Richie Rich cast pulled up earlier. So Herbert Arthur Runcible Cadbury is from Richie Rich, of course. I was like, hey, yo. I was like, the McCulkin family is rich. So, they're not wrong there. But, yeah, I was going to say, the butler is not just sneaking around in the back. But again, if they had a butler in that house, if Cadbury was hanging out there, that wouldn't necessarily be too shocking. So it's not Richie Rich level, but still, Richie Rich probably vacations in Paris a little bit more easily than the McAllisters. No disrespect to no disrespect to Peter McAllister. He's very hard-working. Pause. He's very, he's on the grind. He is clearly a high-achieving, good-earning man for back in the day. And we missed the John Candy entrance earlier, but we've got John Candy, of course, back, taking Catherine O'Hara, trying to make it back in time. And, at the end of the day, not to jump ahead to a little bit too much. And, you get, I guess, to focus on this scene as well, too, you get the sweet scene of, again, kind of bringing in a greater movie element of, the parenting side of things. Obviously, toning down maybe the chaos of, what actually happened in leaving your kid at home. But it's like, hey, we're all out here just trying to figure this thing out. And, hey, none of us are perfect. We're not going to be perfect all the time. Yeah, probably never left my kid at the house on vacation. But there are things that, hey, we're still figuring out. We're still working on. It is what it is. So, I'm sure John Candy, what's the polka guy's name? The polka king of the Midwest. I'm sure he has his moments where you're like, hey, is this 100% locked in there? But most of the time, I'm sure the polka, the king of the Midwest, is a good parent. And, Catherine O'Hara, for the most part, you see, she's locked in. She's a good parent. At the end of the day, even if you got left home alone on Christmas by the McAllister family, they still seem like the kind of people at the end of the day that you still want them to be your parents. Hey, I don't think we're trading the Kevin McAllister to any other families. Are we trading? Are we trading Kevin? What's the name of the Friday Night Lights family? Hey, chat. Are we trading Kevin McAllister to the Friday Night Lights family? And just saying, they wouldn't leave you at home. What's the name of the coach's wife in Friday Night Lights? Would she leave Kevin McAllister at home? I'm not sure. I'm not even that familiar with the TV series, but maybe we go back and watch the movie as well too. But I'm thinking of the TV series here. Let's see what we have got. Oh, Connie Britton as Tammy Taylor. So would Eric and Tammy Taylor leave Kevin behind? I don't know why these are the first movie parents that I thought of. Would Uncle Phil leave? Would he leave Kevin behind? I don't think he would. I don't know which version of Aunt, is there a version of Aunt Viv that would more likely to leave Kevin behind? But, the first version of Aunt Viv, shout out Aunt Viv V1 chat. Hey, yo, we need to be more respectful when we're talking about Aunt Viv over here. We can't just say V1. But, Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv, they're not leaving Kevin at home. It is what it is. But, again, at the end of the day, I don't know if you would trade, Peter McAllister and Kate McAllister, was that her name? For Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv. Though that is, of course, like the LeBron. I mean, again, the TV show is literally, I'm sending somebody to live with you. Like, you guys are, Uncle Phil's such good stock, you have to take the family. Uncle Phil is just going to be responsible for raising all the kids. It is what it is. Like, Jazz is just going to be around. Uncle Phil, even Jazz getting thrown out by Uncle Phil is, like, still a good influence on his life. It is what it is. But, it's like, man, I was just start comparing him to Anthony Edwards right now. So it's like, Anthony Edwards, would you say, Wembanyama does have the skill set where you're like, I'm not trading Wembanyama for anybody, but you're not trading Anthony Edwards for anybody as well, too. Or, maybe even like Tyrese Halliburton. Is Kate and Peter McAllister like a Tyrese Halliburton for superstar parents in movies? We're like, okay, there could be some moments where, like, yeah, Wemby's probably the guy that you'd rather have on a blank slate over Tyrese Halliburton, but also Tyrese Halliburton's been to a finals. He's proven that he's really good at his job. I guess, parenting, we're not saying a job, however you want to phrase it there. But, really good at his job. Elite contributor, elite impact on his team, and with what he means to the city and the franchise, you're not. What are you gonna get? So that's getting kind of close, but especially after making a title and almost winning a title as well too. Like, it's not like it was impossible for them to get the win in the Game 7, and for the mom as well too. Shout out, we got to give her credit for making the trip back. But the fact that, I don't know, from a storytelling standpoint, do you have to get her home a little bit farther ahead of the family? It does make a nice end to the movie, gets everybody entering in at the same time. Nice surprise. She doesn't necessarily have to sit around for 2 days and be like, hey, everybody's here, and then they're here on December 27th, and no, Christmas, it's a couple days late. Oh, silly us. But, also maybe make the effort like a little bit more worth it. Because really, I don't want to say the effort was not worth it, but they're like almost in the same cab. So, like, I don't know if, again, there's like a little bit of a time jump in terms of her getting home and them talking and them being like, oh, it's all cool. Maybe they even, I don't know, they start making Christmas cookies or something. Who knows? But I don't know, she's still in like her coat and stuff. Like, she just got there. And she's like, oh, how did you guys get here so fast? He's like, we just took the flight back. So I guess, the one that you couldn't wait for, and, AO. But, as I'm saying, Hughes, maybe make the effort like a little bit more worth it. And there you go. You get the kid reconnecting. He's back in the mix. Shout out to the old man over there for stepping in, saving the day. A happy ending for him as well, too. You love to see it. Oh, you love to feel good watching a Christmas movie. It's not just Kevin, having fun, messing with Joe Pesci, silly Joe Pesci. You get a good, heartfelt story as well too. You feel good that this guy's reconnected with his kids. He's got his little granddaughter back in his life. It's just a sweet scene. I mean, I'm sure Kevin's always thinking 2 steps ahead. So he starts hearing about, oh, I got the little granddaughter hanging around. Like, hey, he's like, why don't you go ahead and reconnect with your son there and get the family hanging back out? But, hey, yo, we've got Buzz now right back on to making fun of Kevin, and the family, goes right back to normal. Hey, yo, shout out. A classic, chat. A classic. We had to watch it. It was the 35th anniversary this year. It was the 35th anniversary in November, but we figured, Christmas time, of course. It makes more sense for us to rewatch it on Christmas versus, again, November. You're going to want some time for people to see it when you drop it, and it was a classic. So, still holds up today. I'm sure if it's on Disney Plus, we'll probably watch it again next year. So, I don't know. If we watch it on the live stream, we'll have to see. Do we just watch it for the 31st anniversary? I guess will have to be the call. Or what Christmas movie will be on anniversary next year? I guess will be the question. I don't know. Scrooged we'll just have to see. A Muppets Christmas. When will Tyler Perry a Medea's Christmas be on the list, I guess, is the question. You'll just have to tune in. We'll have to see. Remember, what year was Medea Christmas? Dropped 2013. So 2028. We've got, what, 15 years for Tyler Perry's A Medea Christmas? A Medea musical play, 2011. Okay, I don't know what anniversary we'll do here, but either way, we'll be back, of course, later this week. You can follow us here on the YouTube. Follow the podcast versions of the show on the podcast platforms. And like I said as well, too, you can DM us at REMINGTOM Pod on Instagram if you want to connect with us over there. Send us a message that way. Hope you all have a good time celebrating the holidays. And I know we're wishing everybody a Merry Christmas. I know there's other holidays being celebrated around this time. I don't want to leave anybody out. I don't necessarily even know time. We're just ignorant with that. Some of the stuff, we can admit that we can do better in the future. Now, even realize, sometimes you don't even think about it as well too. You're like, oh, just even knowing the dates for some of these holidays, probably should be well informed there as well too. But whatever, just being with loved ones, and again, just having a moment to celebrate, and hey, for us, we definitely, take time for Christmas to remember the Christmas season and the birth of Christ as well too. So, if that is as well an important part of your family, then of course all of the Christmas season hopefully is just able to be accentuated and full of love for everybody. So, hopefully you guys are able. Did we write down a sweet Christmas message? We're just speaking from the heart here, chat. I don't know. Maybe we'll try. Maybe we'll put pen to paper next time and be more eloquent with our thoughts. I don't know, but we'll be back. I guess it'll be post Christmas next time. I don't know if it'll be take 2, but maybe next year we'll have to see. It is what it is. But we will definitely be back later this week, and we will be back. We're ready for 2026 as well too. 2026 is going to be fun. You're going to be locked in, but the schedule will be the same, hopefully, until the end of the year. The holiday didn't fall on a live stream day exactly. So, hey, the show goes on, and we can't wait to be back as well too. I guess Christmas doesn't have like it's because Christmas is not always on a Thursday. I was going to say, it's not like a Black Friday situation this Friday, but I don't know, like that post-Friday, that Friday being like a post-holiday day is a fun situation. So maybe we need to negotiate that. Christmas moves to like a Thursday holiday like Thanksgiving as well too. We'll have to talk about that. But either way, be back Friday for the next live stream, and have a good time with family over the next couple days. We'll see y'all later. Peace.